Football 92, proudly brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors, BP Australia, CUB, Westpac, GIO Australia, Vulcan, and in 95 years, the Premiership pennant has never left Victoria. In just a few short hours, history might be made. From Perth on Australia's west coast, the Eagles have arrived for their second successive tilt at glory. They are the favourites, a tough, match-hardened combination in just their sixth season in league football. From Corio Bay come Geelong, 133 years old and looking for Premiership number 6. They've waited 29 years for this moment. They know what to expect. Today, Australia stops for a football match. But what a match it promises to be. The Eagles of the West Coast against the Cats of Geelong in the 1992 AFL Grand Final.
The aerobatic display unit from the Royal Australian Air Force, the Roulettes, over the famous MCG Arena. An arena that is almost fully packed today. We're expecting more than 100,000 people to the AFL Grand Final. The first time we've had more than 100,000 people since 1986. That shot from the roof of the region as we zoom in on one of the most famous stadiums in the world of sport. The Melbourne Cricket Ground now boasting that great southern stand for the first time. And everything is prime. The ground conditions are perfect. The two teams could not be more ready for this grand final between West Coast and Geelong. Good afternoon and welcome to 7 Sports coverage wherever you might be watching right around the world. We're expecting over 100,000, as I said. The build-up to this game has been tremendous, like it always is an AFL Grand Final week here in Melbourne. There's a magnificent feeling here at the ground. Both supporters are very confident that West Coast will win today, and those from Geelong are just as confident. Just think about the Cats for a moment. It's been 29 long years since Geelong won its last premiership, its 6th premiership in the VFL back in 1963. And for the West Coast today, they're hoping to win their first Premiership Cup. And think for a moment about the 40 players who are taking part in this match. Not one of them has experienced a premiership at this level. The coaches have, Malcolm Blight with North Melbourne and Mickey Malthouse with Richmond, but today is going to be very, very special for 20 of the 40 players who will take part in the ground. There's been a lot of speculation this morning surrounding West Coast, whether Brett Heady would play. He's had tremendous problems all season with a hamstring. He's an important goal-kicking half-forward for West Coast, and whether or not Guy McKenna will play as well. We'll know the answer to that in about 15 minutes' time when the two teams run out on the ground. McKenna struggling with a sciatica problem. For Geelong, everything seems to be right. The 20 players are fully fit and ready to go. The pre-match entertainment's about to start. Let's join the arena announcer, Michael Williamson.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, would you please welcome the Australian Army Band Melbourne, together with the Victorian Children's Choir, as they pay tribute to the guest performer at the 1980 Grand Final. I refer to the late, great Mr. Peter Allen.
The Australian Olympic team is celebrating its best result since the 1956 Olympic Games held here in Melbourne. Please welcome home once more our proud Olympic medalists, bronze medalists, representing swimming, Susie O'Neill and Samantha Riley. Athletics, Tim Forsyth, and representing tennis, Nicole Probus. From yachting, Mitch Booth and Lars Kleppisch. Members of the K4 canoeing team, Kelvin Graham, Stephen Wood and Ramon Anderson. Silver medalists, the Australian men's hockey team, represented by Warren Birmingham, David Wansborough, Lachlan Dreher and Jay Stacey. Representing canoeing, Danielle Woodward, and from poolside, bronze and silver medalist Glenn Houseman. From the speed of the velodrome, in the 1,000-metre sprint, Gary Newon, and in the 1 kilometre time trial, Shane Kelly. And the 4,000-metre team pursuit medalists, Brett Aitken, Stephen McGleed, Sean O'Brien and Stuart O'Grady. Representing our recently returned Paralympians, please welcome gold medalists Brian McNichol and John Lindsay. And finally, our Olympic gold medalists, members of the three-day event equestrian team, Andrew Hoy and Gillian Rolton. Cyclist Kathy Watt, silver medalist in the 3,000-metre individual pursuit and gold medalist individual road race. And from Lake Banyoles, Clint Robinson, men's K1 1000.
Well, having relived the magic and exhilaration of Barcelona, let us again acknowledge our Olympians and Paralympians as they are presented with replicas of the AFL Premiership Cup in recognition of their outstanding achievements and as a memento of the 1992 AFL Grand Final. Let's hear it again for these marvellous athletes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, each year we bring you a special guest to sing Waltzing Matilda and the national anthem. This year, we are very proud to introduce to you one of Australia's most celebrated artists. She has won tremendous praise for her performances in great opera houses and concert halls all over the world. To sing for us today, Waltzing Matilda, and later on the national anthem, would you please welcome Melbourne's own Miss Joan Carden.
Once a jolly swagman camped by a billabong under the shade of a coolnut tree, and he sang as he watched and waited till his billy boiled. You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me, waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda. You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me, and he sang as he watched and waited till his billy boiled. You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me. Up came the comeback to drink at the billabong. Down came the string and grabbed him with glee, and he sang as he shoved that jumbuck in his tacker bag. You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me, waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda. You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me, and he sang as he shoved that jumbuck in his tacker bag. You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me. Up rode the squatter, mounted on his thoroughbred. Down came the troopers, 1, 2, 3. Where's that jolly jumbuck you got in your tacker bag? You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me, waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda. You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me. Where's that jolly jumbuck you got in your tacker bag? You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me. Up jumped the swagman, sprang into the billabong. You'll never catch me alive, said he, and his ghost may be heard as you pass by that billabong. You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me, waltzing Matilda. You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me, and his ghost may be heard as you pass by that billabong. You'll come a-waltzing Matilda with me.
The brilliant Melbourne-born soprano singer Joan Carden. We take a break from the MCG. The teams will be out shortly for the grand final. Crowd right on time. Geelong about to enter the arena. There'll be a mighty roar in just a moment. They've been a record-breaking team all season. They kicked a record score against Brisbane this year in the history of the AFL/VFL. They kicked more goals and points than any other team in history. And they're the first team onto the arena. It's been 29 long years. There's Kenny Hinkley, third in the Brownlow medal. What a moment. Not one of the 20 players has experienced a grand final, but 9 of the 20 were involved in that memorable 1989 grand final, including one man they called God at Kardinia Park, Gary Ablett. And you just have the feeling that the stage is set for the 30-year-old today to produce his brand of magic that could turn this grand final. The Cats have been heavily backed this morning. They're 10-9 second favourites in a 2-horse race, but they're shortening all the time. And will that magic man produce something today that we'll talk about for 20 years? Let's join Billy McDonald, who's in the Channel 7 helicopter, and you must have a great view, Bill.
Bruce, what a picture we've got up here. Here come the balloons now. Geelong are out on the ground. The MCG is at near capacity. There aren't too many seats out there. The Great Southern Stand is full. It looks magnificent. There's plenty of colour down there. A lot of green caps, you'll notice. That's a lot of the West Coast Eagles supporters that have come over from Perth for this grand final today. The weather is fine and warm, perfect conditions. You couldn't hope for better. All is in readiness for one of the greatest occasions in Australian sport.
No question about that. And there's Malcolm Blight, the man who knows what it's like to win a premiership, 2 of them with North Melbourne, one of the great players in the history of the game. Coach at Geelong, just missed out in 1989 in a classic grand final when the Cats went down by a goal to Hawthorn. But they're back 3 years later and they're primed and ready to win. Don Scott and Peter McKenna know what it's all about to play in an AFL, VFL grand final at this ground. I welcome them here today. It's a magnificent occasion.
Yeah, Bruce, it certainly is, and good to be with you here too, Don, and 2 very evenly matched sides, Bruce and Don. And as we have a look, we'll have a look at the Geelong side. It'll be up on the screen in a moment. It's a very, very good side. The Geelong side, there's key players, of course. Stoneham at half forward, Billy Brownless. Will he put in a match-winning performance? And look at that man on the half-forward line, Gary Ablett. He could win this game off his own boot. Tremendous, Don, to see Neville Bruns appearing in this side. He's had that knee injury. He's a gutsy little player. He'll give everything for his club. There's the West Coast Eagles players getting a G up for Mickey Malthouse, and they'll be pretty keyed up.
Actually, that's pretty important there. Just timing the entrance onto the ground is just so important. Geelong had to stand. The West Coast are going to time it beautifully, but West Coast, they man up. Will Kemp take on Bairstow? Will Turley take on Couch? Lamb and Scott, Pike and Hocking. They were the matchups when they met at Kardinia Park. They were the matchups last time they met here at the MCG. Somebody's got to take Sumich. My bet it could be Miles. Darcy could have the job, but there are going to be some important matchups as far as this West Coast side are concerned, because they're not a goal-kicking side, but they certainly have got committed players who do concentrate.
Great sign for West Coast. Both Heady and McKenna stripped and ready to come out.
If both those players are out, Bruce, I'd be tipping Geelong for sure, because they're vital to them, particularly McKenna off the half-back line where as we see the Eagles about to come out in the ground any moment. It'll be interesting, Bruce, to get the crowd reaction to the Eagles.
Well, there are many thousands of people who have made the trek from Western Australia to Victoria for this momentous occasion. It's their first grand final, remember, at the MCG for the club. They were at Waverley Park last year. It's the biggest crowd they've played in front of. 16 of the 20 players are back, including Carl Langdon, who missed out with injury last year. And maybe that man, number 4, Peter Sumich, could hold the key to this grand final.
Also Matera, and I believe Main Waring will line up on the wings. That is a real important line, because they were match winners last time they met here at the MCG. Matera, Main Waring across the centre.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see what Malcolm Blight does about Matera, because he can catch it to pieces. Will he play Trevor Poole there? Will he play Peter Riccardi, the pacey Peter Riccardi on him? Or will he just play a man-to-man? There's Mickey Malthouse on screen.
And the meetings so far this year favour West Coast by 2-1 over Geelong. Surprisingly, the Cats at Subiaco, but West Coast at Kardinia Park. And the most important result there, the second semi, West Coast over Geelong, 133-95. A break, back to the MCG in just a moment. And for the national anthem, the arena announcer, Mike Williamson.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, would you please stand for the national anthem to be performed by Joan Carden, accompanied by the Australian Army Band Melbourne and the Victorian Children's Choir.
Let's join Gerard Healy now for the Mitsubishi Motors Ground Report. Good afternoon, Gerard.
Good afternoon, Bruce. An absolutely glorious day in here. As you can see on the Mitsubishi Motors weatherometer, a current temperature of 15.2 with an expected top of 17 degrees. Humidity is currently 51% and there's a 10-kilometre wind swirling at ground level. So as always at the MCG, no goal advantage. The ground is in excellent condition. 3 votes must go to the curators who've had the super sopper going all night. And the forecast is for a fine and mild afternoon.
Couldn't hope for anything better than that. The toss about to take place. Dennis Rich and Peter Carey, the 2 umpires today. They've both been here before. John Worsfold, number 24. Western Australian captaining West Coast. Mark Bairstow, a Western Australian, captaining Geelong. And here's Gerard Healy.
Yes, down in the centre of the ground, the toss about to be taken. Awesome force, and Peter Tonkin throws the coin in the air. The call is made by Mark Bairstow. It was a tail, it's never failed, and he has kicked to the small scoreboard end.
So Geelong winning the toss as John Worsfold moves away. And in the Perth suburb of Nedlands, one of the favourite spots for Eagles supporters is Steve's Hotel. And look at them there, revving up the Eagles today. What high hopes they have in Western Australia. Steve's Hotel in Nedlands, and they're cheering on their beloved Eagles today. Well, our match commentators today are Sandy Roberts, Dennis Cometti, Ross Glendinning, Tim Watson and Bernie Quinlan are on the boundary. Sandy Roberts.
Thank you, Bruce, and welcome on behalf of the commentators to surely the greatest sporting stadium in the world, the MCG, and doesn't it look a picture today as we welcome Dennis Cometti and Ross Glendinning. Gentlemen, welcome.
Afternoon, Sandy. Fantastic day, isn't it? And what an atmosphere.
Yes, you could have asked for better, Sandy. It's just watching the games earlier too. It was a very high standard, and players were able to keep their footing on the ground, which you thought may have been a bit sloppy.
As Gerard said, conditions ideal for football, and special mention to the curators. This ground during the week has been absolutely saturated. White and Lewis making their way to the interchange area for the Eagles.
So Hetty will start on the ground.
Yes, and
McKenna is out there too, Ross.
Yes, and Brennan. There was some doubt about those players. Wills and Miles are the 2 interchange for Geelong.
So the matchups, very important. McIntosh goes down on Brownless. At the other end of the ground, Darcy has Sumich.
And already some pushing and shoving with McIntosh and Brownless. Brownless, a confidence player.
Worsfold has Ablett, it seems. They're on the wing at the present time.
And Bairstow on Matera.
Yep. Well, the jostling can go on because here we go. The 92 grand final is underway. Harding stands underneath the ball. Barnes there with him. Barnes trying to get a second hammer at it. It's not effective. Wilson through, but without the football. Matera wants an early touch, and he's going to get it from 52 metres. Matera's long kick in towards goal is across the face. But it's the first score of the day, and it goes to the West Coast Eagles. Kicked by the danger man, Peter Matera.
Michael Brennan starting the forward line too, Sandy. Normally a defender.
Barnes had a marvellous preliminary final. Darcy comes straight down the middle. Over the 50-metre line. Harding doing some jostling. Illegal. Barnes will take it. There was holding on. Again, a lot will be expected of this young man. An Essendon reject. He kicks to centre wing. Out comes McKenna. Gets a fist to it. Pushes wide towards the wing, then follows it up. Well trapped by Merriman. Off to Bairstow. A chance for the Cats to go to the half-forward line. Bruns having to do the work from behind. Can't get an effective spoil. Riccardi and Ablett both there too. Riccardi is claimed. It spills free to Scott. Under pressure is Robert Scott. Still going. Now the ball spills free. Jakovic, a high hand pass, but straight to Merriman. His aerial work is not good. Waterman's kick is short. Mainwaring goes off the ground to Langdon. A prior ball, and the advantage is paid as Bairstow drifts to the 50-metre line. Stoneham can go on from 52 metres. Stoneham towards goal. Like Matera, he pulls it badly in towards the pocket, and it is taken over the line by Worsfold for throwing in Geelong's left forward pocket.
Eagle is down. Ablett collected him. That's Pike. Boundary throw in. Rugged start. Stoneham. Hurried kick. Back towards the injured player. They'll have to stop the game here.
Well, Peter Carey's still calling for the ball to be thrown in, Dennis, which is very strange. It's dangerous there at the moment.
Very dangerous. Throw in, Stoneham in front. Riccardi dragged off the kick. Down he goes. And a whistle.
Stretcher
They need the stretcher, yes, for Pike. He collided with Ablett behind Worsfold, who was playing the ball close to the boundary line. Pike valiantly trying to get to his feet now, but he's very groggy.
See this again. He's copying one on the chin there, Pike.
So play is stopped, and the players on very short fuses at the moment. At least Pike is moving. He wants to play on.
Yes, and still Langdon and Rogers behind play go at it.
So a sorry start to Don Pike's grand final. And the plans of the West Coast Eagles thrown asunder.
Chris Lewis, Dennis, is the player to come on to replace him.
And the crowd at fever pitch. Lewis goes onto the forward line. Evans is going down into defence. Don Pike. So play to restart. Michael Malthouse with his problems. And listen to that buzz around the ground. Malcolm Blight, as always, composed. Well, speaks for itself. So a bounce. What happens next? Stoneham gets it down. Poole didn't have it. He'll get the free kick. Trevor Poole, only about 30 metres from goal. Almost predictable. The umpires would pay a free almost immediately.
Yes, and his experience too is a welcome addition to this side. Trevor Poole, very mobile player.
Former best and fairest with Richmond. Will this be the first goal of the grand final? Poole, deliberately. It's good. Geelong lead by 5 points.
Yes, and we've seen the emergency umpire there. He's been out there for the last 3 or 4 minutes with Langdon and Rogers. As we just see this free kick once more. Kemp tackling a little high, and also Poole without the football. And Poole finished off well.
Five points the margin, favouring the Cats. Merriman sends them down towards half forward once again. Riccardi is there. Ablett does the scouting. Scott can't get clear. Stoneham can if it sits. Stoneham towards goal with the left foot. There's another one. A big start by the Cats.
It doesn't look well too. Some players can get on the ground in these grand finals and legs get very heavy very quickly through nerves and adrenaline. But Barry Stoneham, as he was standing in the race, waiting to come onto the ground, he looked very keen, very keyed up. By gee, he moved well then. Just watch the way he just controls his football, and his pace superb and well executed.
What a dramatic start to the 92 grand final. Pike on the sideline, but back in the middle, and Barnes wins a mighty thump down towards half forward. Evans is there, and he's collected by Ablett. Down they both go, but he's okay. Jakovic picks up the football, swings it round his body towards centre wing. McKenna took the chance, got a bad bounce. Hocking ran into one too high, and Gary Hocking will take a free kick at centre wing as Gary Ablett and Carl Langdon.
Yes, Langdon ran right down from half forward to try and remonstrate with Ablett, but he should just concentrate on the footy.
Hocking goes short. Bairstow, awkward one. Brennan did well. Wilson, here's a chance. Sumich, the only man on. If it stays in, it runs away from him. Out of bounds. Well, he was 30 metres in the clear, Peter Sumich. Boundary throw in. A shake of the head from the star full forward. Brennan and Barnes now. Langdon had it, then lost it. Mansfield dragged down and a ball up. Well, today's game really a remarkable mixture. A Victorian coaching the Eagles, a South Australian coaching Geelong, captained by a West Australian. Here's Kemp, hard against the boundary line, pulls it back. How will it bounce? Mansfield in front knocks it down. Lewis has an opportunity, snaps, smothered brilliantly off the boot. It ricochets up towards centre half back. Evans. Oh, there was a raised elbow in there. Nothing doing. They're going in solidly, and a whistle.
Umpires have to be careful. They've got to control it. Great smother on the shot at goal by McGrath too. Put his hands up perfectly.
Oh. Brennan wins it. Langdon through. The left foot by Carl Langdon is away to the left.
Right on.
In a pressure cooker situation right from the word go, but that's natural. Lewis is onto the ground, replacing the one injured player to date who is off, Pike. And the margin is 10 points. McGrath takes it on half-back. Brennan's the man on the mark. McGrath to centre wing. Stoneham the target. With him is Jakovic. And Gary Hocking and Guy McKenna both see it over the line on centre wing.
And with Pike going off, having picked up Hocking to start with, McKenna now has that job.
Barnes jostling for front spot and gets it. Langdon comes up over the top. Merriman pushes towards the boundary line. He should get a free kick. No, not to be. But he might have got one for in the back. Ross. And Don Pike looks considerably better than just a few minutes ago, which is good news. Evans through strongly to Dean Kemp, who's had a good season. Kemp pulls it in towards the pocket. It's not a good kick. Sumic again trying to soccer off the ground. This time only succeeds in putting it out of bounds in the right forward pocket for the Eagles.
Perhaps a little Sumic conscious there too. Kemp, he could have gone shorter to Heady, who was more directly in front of goal.
The umpires this afternoon, Peter Carey and Dennis Rich, both umpiring their second league grand final. Barnes, well done. Hinkley didn't have it. Close to the boundary line. It's out of bounds. Kemp getting a little help from Hinkley. It'll be thrown in. Glorious day here in Melbourne. What breeze there is going with Geelong. Barnes tries to hook it back. Rogers has got it. Wilson has got him. Down he goes. Play goes on. Langdon misses to the near side. But he's busy and aggressive. Good signs around the boundary. Don Pike
certainly seems to have his faculties back, which is good news.
Cats by 9 points. Darcy to the outer side. Barnes is the target, parting over the top. Mainwaring the opportunity. 45 metres out, kicks, and he's missed.
Chances going begging at the moment for the Eagles. 4 behinds on the board. Darcy again, finding McGrath. Goes across the other side of the ground somewhat dangerously. Mainwaring couldn't take it. Heady might get a free kick for Bush. He will.
Yes, Neville Brunt's knew straight away, saying that he'd done the wrong thing there. He's very keen to pick up Heady with Mainwaring, his immediate opponent, just spilling that mark. Yeah, definite free kick.
An extraordinary ploy by McGrath.
Yes, and now looks as if Pike is coming back onto the ground. Lewis coming off.
Well, that's good news for Don Pike. Great recovery, but the action at the moment is with Heady. From 45 metres, he too has missed this time to the right, and yet another behind. But the Eagles doing the bulk of the attacking.
Yes, and you're right there with McGrath's kick. Just you've got to play percentages in these games. You've got to come defensively, not across goals.
Ken Hinkley this time brings it back into play. He too's had a marvellous year, finishing 3rd in the Brownlow. Couch does the scouting. Kicks towards centre wing and Robert Scott. Trapped it beautifully. Gives it across to Simpson, who can't shrug the tackle. It was a good one. It might sit for Bairstow. No, it won't. Matera, but he's going to get the free kick. It'll come back to Bairstow. Peter Matera was away.
Yeah, he's just needed a small nudge there. His momentum was carrying him forward anyway, but it's one of those line ball decisions.
So the captain, he's kicked 36 goals and 32 behinds for the year. But he hasn't added to that.
He just got a bit too close to the man on the mark there. Tried to pull it up quickly to get over the player there and miskicked.
So it'll be Jakovic to bring it back into play. Heads towards Harding. Flicked over the back. Pike. Back in business. Turley does the shepherding. He wants Langdon. Rogers forgot about the ball for a moment. It opened a path for McGrath, who kicks towards Barnes. Over the top he comes. Plays on well. He's carrying on his good form. To half forward. Ablett is there. Stoneham is there. Mainwaring is there. Mainwaring heads for the boundary line. And we'll have a throw-in, says Peter Carey, officiating in his second grand final.
Cats lead by 7 points. Just under 16 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Stoneham gets it down. Mainwaring is grabbed. This is Scott. Strong tackle by Worsfold. Riccardi. Great goal.
When I finally give this game away, I don't want to be worrying about money. Sure, I've got superannuation. But is it enough to live well on? So, I had a chat with my bank, Westpac. Their financial advisors really helped me plan for my future. Even showed me how I can top up my super. Now, thanks to Westpac, I'll have plenty to live on. I'm really looking forward to putting my feet up.
Out of the centre once again. It's the Eagles getting away. Heady on to Langdon. He loses it. Now it's with Dean Kemp. Still outside 50. A gentle chip in towards Sumich. Can't take it with one hand. Down towards Couch. Evans had an airy. McGrath. Cool in defence. Comes to half back. Pike used the body nicely. Has front spot. Trying to clear a path for Matera. He'll get a free kick.
He's being paid for a trip there by umpire Carey.
Considered by many to be the danger player along with Peter Sumich. Handball was meant for Hocking. It went to McKenna. Langdon now. Paddling it along in front, but only as far as Bairstow. Couch tries to find some room. He can't. It goes straight to Kemp. Now Pike. Back to Matera. A little flick to the 50-metre line. Turley couldn't take the mark. Rogers leaves it to Couch. He's got Hocking, and the Cats are out of trouble.
Hocking down towards half forward. Worsfold and Ablett close to the boundary line. Ablett the better recovery. Tries to go off the ground. Stoneham left. A free kick earlier. It'll come back to Ablett.
Yes, quite right, Dennis. Yeah, Worsfold just a little bit heavy on him after the ball had gone free.
Gary Ablett, left half forward, massive spiral, bending back. Back they go. McIntosh, marvellous mark. Outstanding performance by McIntosh. Goes in short to the pocket. Mainwaring runs up to the defensive 50. This is McKenna. Touches it down once. Probing kick towards half forward. Heady and Hinckley. The defender comes over the top and gets it out of bounds. Ken Hinckley, who turns 26 next Wednesday, one of 2 Cats to play every game this season. The other, Tim McGrath. Watch this again. Boundary throw in. Pike. Merriman knocked it away. Poole looking for a kick. Kemp's got him. Slapped out by Poole. Scott's over the ball. Does nicely. Pulls it back towards half forward. It's on the ground to Bairstow. Bairstow through half forward to the pocket. Riccardi again.
Well played, Trevor Poole on half-back flank. He just one of the footballers surrounded by Eagles. Got the ball amongst the feet and got it out to his teammate. Well done, Trevor Poole. Now it's a shot at goal.
And Riccardi, a natural left footer, is a chance from here. Already has one. Very talented young player, this man. Riccardi from 40 metres out. Looks good. Hit the post halfway up. Bad luck for the Cats. It increases their lead, though, to 14 points.
5 scoring shots to 4 in favour of the Eagles. McKenna goes wide to the run of Kemp. Dean Kemp from half-back looks towards Langdon. Used the body nicely to get rid of McGrath, but the ball spills over the line with Stoneham. And we'll have a throw-in on centre wing.
Tim McGrath doing very well too across half-back, just attacking the football, leaving his man.
Barnes front spot. Harding at the back wins it. But straight to Merriman. Goes over the top to Hinkley. They can rebound here. Hinkley's down behind play. Wilson ran into him. He's up and okay, however. Simpson stabs towards Ablett. The Cats looking dangerous. It's on behind play. Wilson. As Geelong goes surging forward towards Brownless. Still going. Players stop momentarily. Couch a clever tap to Hocking. Hocking from 20 metres goes bang and misses. It's fiery out there. On the ball and off the ball.
Yes, so unnecessary too by Peter Wilson. Nothing gained whatsoever. And then the same thing from Stoneham.
$15 points the margin. The behind being the result. Matera couldn't quite complete the mark. He's clever the way he pushes the ball along in front, but he loses it. I thought for a moment to Scott, and now Bruns has given away the free kick.
Yeah, too high, Sandy.
Lamb will have to come back and kick over the mark.
Still to come back.
Yeah, he's got to go right back. The umpire, Dennis, which they're quite correct.
Dwayne Lamb, forward of half back. Through the wing towards half forward. Strong mark in front, Brennan. He's on the wing now. Michael Brennan, high kick inside the attacking 50. Darcy, down he goes. That was a good mark.
And again, the back line there at Geelong just backing themselves. I mentioned McGrath done a similar thing earlier on a couple of occasions. And now Rogers, Darcy, I should judge it, leaving Sumich, did the right thing, attacked the footy.
Darcy. Member side with a kick. High towards the wing. Stoneham almost the mark. It falls behind. Harding had it in front, lost it. This is Jakovic across his body down to half forward. Langdon. Great attempt to mark. Goes back and finds the ball on the ground. Rogers gets the hand pass out. Well done. Merriman. Too much on it though for Bairstow. Main Waring. Merriman did well to come back. Over the ball down there now is Pike. Was he taken high? No. It'll be a ball up. Down towards centre half forward for the West Coast Eagles. Ferocious stuff in the grand final.
Five behinds. The Eagles 3-2. The Cats as Barnes wins it, but straight to the run of Matera from 55. He sets sail for home with a mighty kick. What a goal. He's one of the players of the year.
Yes, and does he kick those so very well? A few players can kick the ball as well on the run as Peter Matera. That's certainly what they need, as we see now. Evans coming off, Lewis coming on, and Chris Main wearing in that clash with the foot there of Merriman. Shin at the moment just looking a little sore.
So that first goal could fire up the Eagles. It's taken some considerable time. Back in the middle once again. Jakovic. His kick is smothered by Merriman, who's been in the thick of things. Out wide towards Mainwaring. That was the play he just clashed with. And he gets caught. It spills free to Heady. He's still outside 50. Onto the left boot. It's not an effective kick. And Geelong through Mansfield to come away towards centre wing. The mark taken by Stoneham. He's got a bit of room. To half forward. Ablett is the target. Can't complete it. With him is Hocking. Also Brownless. Brownless gets up. Gets caught. He does get the hand pass away. Not effective, however. Stoneham marks between centre and half forward. He will again kick the Cats into attack.
He's getting right away from Jakovic, too mobile at the moment.
Barry Stoneham. Inside 50 he goes. Oh, there were a couple of big flyers. Barnes and Brownless both flew. Poole just outside 50. Claimed by Kemp. Does well to maintain control. Now Ablett. What can he do? Off to Hocking. Shrugs the tackle, Buddha Hocking. Kicks for goal. Shaves the post.
It's a couple now, isn't it?
Second poster. Yes. 3-3. Goes 1-5.
Doesn't make a difference too to Geelong when Stoneham fires at centre half forward. When you have to go back to full back, the second semi-final, they had no one to kick to across that half forward line. He's just such a very good player.
The Cats lead by 10 points, but very even. The Eagles getting plenty of the ball. And some of their key players getting plenty of touches. Waterman, shocking kick towards the outer side. Stoneham flies over the top, interferes with Jakovic, who'll get the free. Clock is running down, just over 8 minutes till quarter time. Hectic affair so far. As you'd expect, the stakes are high this afternoon. There is no second chance. Djakovic, Langdon on the lead. McGrath with him. Runs free behind McGrath, who played so well in the second semi. A hot one to Mansfield. Great evasion. Down towards half forward. Riccardi was held. No free kick. Does brilliantly. This is Couch. Storming to half forward. He'll kick this. Ball Couch. It's bending back. Not enough. And bounces through for a minor score.
Great play there from Mansfield on the wing. Just saw Langdon coming. Just ducked down at the crucial time. Fed the ball out well. It's a shame that Couch didn't finish off.
McKenna again. This first quarter going in waves. Every few minutes it's the Eagles doing all the attacking, then it's the Cats. McKenna unsure, finally goes short to Waterman. Still tucked in the back pocket. As time ticks away in this first quarter, Waterman to the Matera magic. Off he goes. Doesn't worry about the mark or where it should be. He just gets straight on with the business to Turley. Over the head of Langdon, though, not a good kick. And McGrath takes an easy mark. He's got Barnes short if he wants him on centre wing. Question is asked of Wilson to get back on the mark as Barnes kicks towards Couch. Shepherding by Poole allows him to take the mark. The Cats again in control as they go towards half forward. Bairstow lost sight of it. Riccardi in towards full forward and Hock. Tight angle. Plays on.
Oh.
Kick is a shocker. Brownless may get there first. He does. And he shrugs the tackle. Big Billy from 55.
Well
goes
done.
short cleverly to Browns.
Yes, he thought about having a long shot, Sandy, but just did the right thing. Perhaps just a shade too far out and under a bit of pressure. They're just using the ball a little better by foot, Geelong, at the moment. A few more runners.
Well, what a fortnight this veteran has had, playing in his 223rd game. He looked gone 2 weeks ago through injury, and now he's kicked the goal.
How does it happen? You're down in a mine. Out wide nicely. Mainwaring inside half forward, surrounded by Cats. Mansfield in the grasp. Now Darcy in traffic. Off the ball, Lewis cannoned into Darcy. Meantime, McGrath did well. Mansfield comes away, boots it back to midfield. Djakovic is up, takes the mark. 4-4 to 1-5. 5.5 minutes till quarter time. Geelong favoured by the breeze. Djakovic to half forward. They're getting distance in both directions. Sumic inside the 50. Peter Sumic, the star in the second semi-final when he kicked 8 goals. 76 for the season. In fact, both the full forwards starting today with 76.
76-45, in fact. A little stat there, a little bit of a coincidence. And that'll give Sumic great heart, that mark. If he finishes off, just what he needs.
And the Eagles too. Sumic. Very important kick, this one. Looks good. It's a beauty. Big, deep breath from Peter Sumic. 2-5 plays 4-4.
Yes, when you're such a crucial player, and the key posse is he is there at full forward and relied upon so much to kick the goals, even with Brett Heady coming back into the side. Heady's still looking a little out of touch. Another occasion, Darcy just couldn't get there. And definitely what they needed, that steadying goal. They concentrate on the football now to get themselves back in the game.
Only 11 points the margin. Barnes wins it from the centre. Djakovic cuts it off across half back and drifts back in towards his own attacking zone, but only as far as Ken Hinckley. Proppy hand pass for McGrath. Danger there. Bairstow in the centre. Runs into trouble. Hocking trying to get clear. Could have been held. And eventually Dennis Rich comes in and says, I'll take charge.
Looks like Michael Brennan's coming off the ground for Mitchell White.
Merriman over his body. Djakovic could have interfered. It's opened the door for Stoneham. He misses badly to the left.
Oh. And could have given a handball over the top to Bruns too, who had a better shot in front of Mainwaring. Yes, and here's Brennan coming off, as you see there, and Mitchell White to go up in the forward line. picked up by Rogers.
The umpire was waving. So back to McIntosh. Who's no doubt getting plenty of advice there at the moment and would just be wishing that the football would be relayed back to him.
Now, who would change their selections at this stage? You're Geelong, aren't you, Sandy?
Yes, Geelong. And McIntosh to Waterman on the outer side. Waterman towards centre wing. Turley's the target. Sneaking away from Couch. Or has he? Yes, he gets his kick well. Heady was one flyer. Ken Hinkley was another. Well, we know Hinkley can do that.
It's going to come back because there was interference on the shoulders there.
Simpson's football. Over centre wing. Robert Scott had front spot. Couch now a chance. He's on the left foot. Stabs it in towards Ablett at half forward. But Waterman nipping in front of Ablett and also Riccardi to take a timely mark and hold up the Cats once more.
Worsfold boots it towards the wing. Bairstow was held. He marked it in any case. Now the crowd 150.
Did that very well, Mark Bairstow. On that occasion, he got in front, used his body well on Matera.
Ablett on the lead. Worsfold in close attendance. Ablett has it on the boundary line. No magic this time. Out of bounds on the full.
He did the right thing. He settled, took a couple of settling steps. Could have even, in fact, gone around an extra step to the right and had a kick with his right foot.
McIntosh. Back to half-back and Barnes. Thought he marked it. Wasn't paid. Harding goes for the boundary. And succeeds.
Yes, the intelligent option there. He couldn't see who was around, so just straight to the boundary line. Defensive thing to do.
Just over 2 minutes till quarter time. And the Cats lead by 12 points. Harding in front. Directs it down nicely to Kemp. Kemp runs away from half-back. Boots it down towards half-forward. The players have settled down now. Here's Heady. Tries to hack it out of mid-air and missed. Mansfield over the ball. Paddles it back. Well played. Hinkley, so resolute in defence. Kept his composure. Bairstow. Now Simpson. Simpson a high kick towards half-forward. Here comes Ablett. Up he goes. Bounces off his chest. Merriman. Probing kick down towards full forward. The Eagles get back in strength, but it falls to Riccardi. He can't pick it up. Riccardi's in trouble now. Gets to his feet. Over the top to Brownless. Goal.
Brownless coming at a just over 1 minute remaining as Malcolm Blight, sensing it's almost quarter time, makes his way down to ground level. But it's a 3-goal margin now. Still very early on. But I'm sure the West Coast won't want another one ripped down there into that Geelong forward zone in this final minute of this first quarter. Bad bounce for both. Harding is able to slap it back. He may get another chance. No, it's Jakovic to half forward. Their time for the Eagles. Simpson dropped what perhaps he should have taken. Bottles it up across that half back line. And a bounce will be the result. One of the great sporting sights here at the MCG. And you're seeing it all at the moment. Mitchell White has come off the bench. What can he do with his left foot snap? Out of bounds on the full. Tim Darcy. Like a couple of Geelong players, has made a fine comeback into the senior ranks. Barnes over the top of Harding, but Harding gets it out to White, off to Chris Mainwaring, who went over the line. Inside the last 20 seconds now. One would think only the Eagles could score from here, and here's their opportunity. Peter Matera, kick one. He's only 35 metres out, but he's away to the right pad. There is an opportunity going begging.
It was a sharp handball from Mitchell White too, but it wasn't finished off.
On the siren, Roscoe, at quarter time. Geelong leads 5-5, 35. The Eagles 2-6, 18.
Geelong by 17 points, 5-5 to 2-6 the goal scorers. Paul, Riccardi, Stoneham, Brownless and Bruns for Geelong. And for West Coast, Matera and Sumich. So quarter time the Cats by 17 points. And let's introduce now Tim Watson and Bernie Quinlan on the boundary line.
Yes, thanks, Bruce. Did you get close to Mick Malthouse, Tim?
Well, I did. He was very calm with his players. He just spoke very softly to them. He said that the first quarter's out of the way now. That's when the real pressure's going to be on, and that they need to settle themselves down a bit. Chris Mainwaring was having some treatment for a crook ankle. He also spoke to Brett Heady. Now, Brett Heady looks out of sorts. He hasn't played a lot of football, and perhaps we might find Heady on the bench during this second quarter, Ben.
Yeah, well, on the other hand, Malcolm Blight, very cool, calm and collected, talking to the Geelong players. He singled out Gary Hocking and Neville Bruns. He wanted the Geelong players to especially use Neville Bruns into attack. He doesn't think that Chris Mainwaring will pick him up when he goes into that Geelong forward line. So look out for Neville Bruns to be used in this quarter.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. As this wonderful crowd around the 100,000 gets set for the second quarter, as we have a look at some of the incidents of the first term.
Yes, and Don Pike there just coming to shepherd his teammate John Worsfold, and Ablett just copying him a bit high there. But it was good to see Pike get back up and get on the ground and see this great mark from McIntosh from behind, just jostling Brownless, who's a very strong player one-on-one, and that was probably unnecessary. As we look at the stats here, just shows that the Eagles are still getting their share of the football, even on the scoreboard they're 17 points behind. Very even duel too between Barnes and Harding in the ruck. The centre break certainly favouring the West Coast 7-1, but they haven't quite taken advantage of that.
Peter Matera has been a danger player. He's already picked up 6 kicks, kicked the first goal.
Should read 2-1, shouldn't it?
Yes, most definitely had the chance going into the open goal with just seconds remaining, but that's how he picked up his 6 kicks, his touches in the first quarter. Well, the margin 2-5, is that what you estimate the breeze, roughly, Roscoe?
Yes, it does. As Gerard said at the start of the game, Stan, he does swirl a bit, but the end that now the Eagles will kick to is favoured marginally.
Geelong a 5-5. West Coast 2-6. We go into the second quarter here at the MCG. The Eagles going with the breeze. The bounce is good for Barnes, who hammers it towards the half-forward line. Scott gives it another belt down towards the 50-metre line, but only as far as Worsfold. The skipper towards centre wing. Matera couldn't get clear. Bairstow shrugged 2 tackles. Did well. Great defensive play.
Yeah, it's just that slight fumble there, and Bairstow capitalised very well. It's interesting too that Malthouse has kept Matera on the same wing in the second quarter with Mainwaring the other side.
On centre wing. Harding doing it from the back. Couch caught. At him either side, he was going nowhere. Harding and Barnes again. Won by the former. Pushed down, looking for Turley, who tried to sock off the ground initially, and eventually it ricochets over the line.
Just interesting to hear what Tim said about Brett Heady. I agree with that. I'd give him another 5 minutes in this quarter, and if he can't quite get his game going, I'd be inclined to take him off.
Harding again. Matera belts it further forward. It may sit for Turley, but he's not quick enough. Rogers is there, and Turley sees it over the line.
Bright sunny day here at the MCG. Tossed in, down at left half forward for the West Coast Eagles. Wilson hand passes it forward. Kemp off the ground. He's on the 50. Dean Kemp pulls it back towards the kickoff line. Coming up to meet it is Darcy. In from the side, Lamb. Now Poole. Bairstow across half back. They run it out. Darcy to Simpson. Great football by Geelong. And Simpson's away up through the middle. Stoneham comes up looking to pick off Sumich, but the kick a bad one. Simpson gets it away. McKenna had it. The hand pass comes out from Worsfold to Jakovic. Rebound opportunity now for the West Coast Eagles. Jakovic up towards the wing. Kemp. Poole backed himself well against the ball. Down goes Couch. In goes Scott. Dragged to the ground. Bairstow. Hurried kick down towards half forward. Ablett works his way in front of. Brilliant mark. Body to body with Worsfold, and then fell away at the last moment to mark it on his chest.
What can you do but applaud?
Here's the champ then, just outside the 50, launches one. magnificent.
And a terrific build-up there by Geelong too from that half-back line. They ran it so very well, using their skipper. Also Simpson. Whilst the kick wasn't so good from Simpson, it's now the resulting kick to Ablett. What a fantastic mark. Worsop couldn't do much about that at all.
$70 to Ablett for the season now as Couch finds him again. This time he is too far out. Bairstow saying go for home. Well, he does. Oh, with a magnificent kick. Oh, the mark's been taken by Brownless. What a start to the second quarter, and an ominous opening for the Eagles. Brownless has won to date. Tight angle, but only 20 metres out. And he misses.
There's 1-all to McIntosh and Brownless on those marking duels. Just took his eyes off the ball for a while there, Brownless, but then the right time just bustled McIntosh out of the way. McIntosh not his eyes on the football.
4 goals the margin. Kemp, an uncustomary fumble, but recovers nicely across halfback. Drifts it in towards the centre for the run of Langdon. Clever hand pass back to Lamb. Now the Eagles surge down towards their forward line. Mansfield chanced his arm. Missed it. Lewis couldn't take it. Heady there. Still on. At the bottom is Hinkley. Heady asked the question. So too does Langdon and Waterman.
It's interesting, Sandy, the area where most people think Geelong are deficient, their defence, they've been very, very good today. They've been very much one-on-one. They've stuck to their task, and they've run the ball out very well.
Margin 24 points. Harding gets it down. Mansfield swings it out wide. Lamb does brilliantly. Mainwaring just outside the 50 to the pocket. Waterman, the left footer. Not against the boundary line, but not a bad spot for him. Normally a pretty good kick. It'll take one from here. Interesting on the forward line a couple of times now. The West Coast Eagles duplicating leads. Players going together. The entire half forward line in the first term led at one stage to the same spot. And on that last sortie forward, Sumich and White did the same thing. Here's Waterman. Important kick, this one. No good. Out of bounds on the full. And this is to the close side.
Yes, and with Matera and Waterman, probably the two best kicks in the side in terms of accuracy. Both just not doing so well in the early part of the game.
Hinkley. What a wonderful season he's had. Goes in short. Darcy. Awkward now. Darcy in trouble. And it's out of bounds. Untidy by the Cats. Marvellous sight. The great southern stand. Looking great this afternoon. Barnes opposed to Langdon. Kemp. They battle after the ball out there. Hinkley gains about 5 metres. Evans on his knees at close quarters to Langdon. Across it comes to Waterman. Out of bounds on the full again.
Chris Waterman having a rough trot in that area. McGrath. And like Hinkley goes long. Fisted down in front to Langdon. Pulled to the ground as he got his kick. Hinkley couldn't take the mark. Darcy tried to storm through. Wilson in strongly. Simpson in over the top. And eventually a bounce. But the West Coast Eagles started this second quarter at 2 goals 6. They are still 2 goals 6 with under 19 minutes remaining. Langdon again tries to pluck it out of the air and charge his way through. Could have almost lost it. McGrath leaves it for his smaller teammate. Scott, what sort of a bounce? Not a good one. It wasn't good for Harding. Paul Couch shows why he won a Brownlow. Floating kick towards Hocking. Couldn't take the mark. McKenna recovers nicely. Over the top to Lamb. And Dwayne Lamb steadies in defence. Finds Turley on the outer wing. Thought about going on with it. Now has to, and he's lost it.
There's some well done Paul Couch. He kept his eye on Turley's body and not the ball, and wasn't deceived by the ball.
Quickly on to Bruns, who wants Stoneham. With him is Jakovic. The pair still going, and together they see it over the line. They throw in on the outer side.
Just under 18 minutes till half-time. Jakovic and Stoneham. Stoneham reaches over the top and gets it down. This is Scott close to the boundary line. Down towards the attacking 50. Well, they collide there. 4 bodies. Lamb back towards the wing. It's tough. Off hands, out of bounds. They're playing for kicks. Ablett, an inspirational goal in this term. Jakovic and Stoneham again. Stoneham works his way in front. Mainwaring looking for the kick. Couch goes in after the ball. And a whistle and a bounce. Down towards left half forward for Geelong. Chris Mainwaring. There's the time remaining. And the margin. Jakovic over his head. Poole does well. Kicks to centre half forward. How will it bounce? Ablett got an unfavourable one. McKenna did well. Matera. Now Matera's away. Runs past centre. Probing kick. Back goes Darcy. Trying to go out of mid-air was Sumich. McGrath, who's been very good, does it again. McGrath breaks away and boots it back towards half-back. Barnes lumbers after it. Barnes in front of Matera. It suggests Barnes has no chance of getting away from him. Matera played it pretty well. Heady to White just outside the 50. Charged down by Rogers. Ricochets to Langdon. Meanwhile, back behind play a bit goes on, but Langdon pulls it back to the kickoff line. Mark is spilt. Waterman snaps and misses.
Gee, it's great footy, isn't it?
They can't buy a goal, the West Coast Eagles. 2-7 to 6-6.
It's tightened up.
Great work by Barnes there too, just persisted, and even after the contest got up again and chased once more. Top stuff.
Darcy to bring it back into play. Short to Mansfield. This young man's had a pretty good final series too, as he kicks close to the man on the mark in Brett Heady. Barnes was his target. Robert Scott waits down. Oh, he's still going. And Dwayne Lamb was still going. Well done by Lamb to persist. He may finish up with the football. He does. Across to Turley. Wilson in trouble around his body. Geelong applying enormous pressure. White. Mansfield and Merriman at the bottom. Evans over the top. Matera somehow gets out of jail. Peter Matera, 52 metres. Pulls it back. What a magnificent kick for goal. Oh, he can fire them up.
Bob Walker's got a hammer drill, Dennis Slap has...
Back in the middle, Merriman, hurried kick towards half forward, and Ablett keeps it in front. Couch, colliding with him was Worsfold.
Gee whiz. I mean, surely got pushed in the back.
There'll be a bounce. If it were Bridge, Peter Matera just trumped Gary Ablett. Superb stuff. 6-6, 3-7. Harding got rid of Barnes. Couch, the hurried kick inside the attacking 50. Great mark by Hocking. In fact, it's paid as a free kick. It was held.
Yes, McKenna sticking with the task there in Hocking. They changed over quickly earlier on with Pike and McKenna. Now McKenna back there. Pike has Riccardi.
Brownless gave a token lead, then slipped away. McIntosh thought he was kidding.
So you've got to go with him every time, irrespective. Even if he jumps over the fence, you've still got to go with him.
So far, he's kicked 17 goals in this final round. A 5-6 last Saturday against the Bulldogs. That's good. Brownless gets his second. And the Cats increase their lead. 7-6 to 3-7.
Yes, they're just getting more value more quickly when they go forward, having less possessions when they go forward, and getting more value, as I say, from it. And here's the mark. In fact, it was paid, as Dennis said, for holding on early. A good finish by Brownless. Totally deceived McIntosh. Heading now into the centre for a while. Turley out to the flank.
The Geelong chart goes up as Harding and Barnes prepare to do battle in the middle again. Either a decisive winner. Towards Rogers it goes. White slaps it over the back. Turley was there but couldn't take it. He's still in there. So too Mitchell White. It's White who comes up with the football.
It is fierce, isn't it?
My word.
Barnes wins it. It's straight to Mainwaring. His kick on the left foot goes down towards the 50-metre line. Darcy did well because he lost his balance. But he had the vision to find Simpson. He got a defensive kick away beautifully.
Now that's courage, Sandy, too, to break right away from your full-back area, attack the football and still do the right thing, even though he fell over. It was just very well done.
Throw in again. Harding front spot. Big man claims it. Evans hustled over the line with the football.
Chris Lewis is warming up on the boundary line. We'll just see what the change will be.
Under 13 minutes remaining in this first half. Bairstow was caught, and well caught. Fierce tackle. Langdon. The lead is on. The pass is there.
Free kick. Yeah, definitely there, Sandy.
Sumich will shoot from 25 metres out.
Almost as soon as Sumich had made the lead, the holding on was there. So you see Peter Wilson, the player, to come off for Lewis. See this again. Darcy holding on the whole way. Got to be a free kick.
Sumich kicked one in the first quarter. He has 77 for the year. Set shots have sometimes let him down.
You said it, Sandy.
It's a very poor kick. They can't believe it at home. Don't worry, it's not half-time yet. But it is a bad miss. As Peter Wilson has a spell on the bench.
Yeah, Simpson certainly had the better of that duel.
Cool. Back to half-back. Barnes over the top. Out of bounds. John Barnes, what a story. Star of these finals, certainly. Amazing to think he didn't play a senior game for Essendon last year. Tossed in right on the 50. Langdon. Here's Rogers. Well, not too subtle. And he pays the price.
Well, you really wonder, though, which way he's going to go. What else could he do?
Needed a bit more angle. A bit more theatre to sell it.
Not 90 degrees, all about 125.
Exactly. So White. Just inside the 50. Puts it up. Right across the face. Off hands. Simpson comes away. Poorly played by the Eagles, all of that. Simpson towards the outside wing. Intelligent kick. Runs in front. Mainwaring closing. Well done, Mainwaring. This is Turley. 70 metres out. Pokes it back in the direction of Sumich. Darcy, a heavy ball, got a fist on it. Lewis now. Could have been taken high, Chris Lewis. Yes, he was. We'll get the free.
Yes, and Darcy with a bit of trouble behind play, either a corky or a whack on his knee.
That was a nasty fall.
Yes, he's called for the train-up.
Now Sumich, meantime, seizes on the moment, goes on a lead. It comes back to the hobbling Darcy. High drama in defence. Darcy gives it away. Harding, 20 metres out. Has missed. What remarkable scenes at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Watch this ball.
Ken Hinkley will bring it back into play. A loping lead from Barnes as he drifts across the half-back line. Hinkley's a magnificent kick. Barnes went too early. Langdon a chance to give it away. He does. Evans can make amends, and this time he makes no mistake.
When an organisation can harness the...
So the margin is 16 points. The Cats lead. Just over 10 minutes till half-time. The next goal, very important. Merriman out of the centre towards half-forward. Worsfold's in front. Harris down of it there by Ablett. The crumbs come back to Hocking, who centres the ball. A magnificent kick. Crumbs, though, missed it. I think it was intended for Brownless. McIntosh over the top. Heady out of defence towards midfield. Awkward bounce for Lewis. Turley waits behind, keeps it in front, lays it off. White taken now by Evans, who changed his mind in mid-air. Changes his mind again from 45 metres out. It's another goal. Well, what a big turnaround there at one end. Runs going back and missed it, and then the goal at the other.
Yes, it just shows how quickly the game can change. The ball moving from one end to the other so very, very quickly. And here Evans did the right thing. Rogers doing the right thing too, the player in the foreground, running back with Lewis, not allowing the handball over the top. And in the end, numbers counted. And Evans kicks the goal.
10 points the margin as the Eagles claw their way back. Harding wins it down towards Lewis, but taken by Bairstow. Round his body, up towards the half-forward line. Jakovic thumps it towards the line. I don't think Stoneham will get there in time. He does, but only for a moment as McGrath does the good shepherding work. Bairstow took his eye off it. Now he recovers. Pumps it towards half-forward and Riccardi again.
Good
Takes
mark.
a very good mark.
It's a great mark. Bairstow giving good value too, getting the ball quickly to his boot in a lot of tight situations.
To half-forward. Robert Scott has got to beat a couple of them. He applies a good tackle. It's locked up inside 50 for the Cats. Next goal vital to both sides. With the Eagles bouncing back two quick ones from Tony Evans. Jakovic doing the ruck work, but straight to Ablett. Around his body, in towards Brownless. Fisted away by McIntosh. Scott is there. McIntosh does very, very well to beat a couple of them. Pike can't strike the tackle. Gets caught. Cry of ball. Goes unheeded. And the Eagles somehow are out of trouble through McKenna. Up towards centre wing. Chris Mainwaring. Close to the boundary line is Langdon. Stolen. Mansfield. Over the top comes Heady. Mainwaring. Back to Heady. He's on the outer wing. Kicks to the half-forward line. Pressure now on Geelong as the Eagles make a run. McGrath, Kemp, Langdon, Waterman. In towards half-forward. Spears. And a good mark taken by Hickley.
Brilliant. Not only the captain, just the way he read that play. Well done.
What an enthralling passage of play as Bairstow comes away. Great mark on the outer side taken by Stoneham. 7-6, 5-8. Stoneham across the ground. Harding goes back with courage, pulled from behind. Can't find the ball. He's outnumbered. He knocks it on superbly. Ablett now outside the 50, settles. Another one. It's bending back. Just missed. This has got everything, this game at the moment.
Well done, Trevor Poole, too, in the contest, 2-on-1. Lost side of the foot. He turned around very quickly. Got it again. Knocked it forward. Nearly a goal.
The margin, 11 points. McKenna, short. The man who comes out of defence so often with the ball. The target for the kick in is Kemp. Hard against the boundary line. High kick towards the wing. Couch needs a bounce. Whoa. Almost was bounced by Langdon. Down goes McGrath. Didn't have the ball. He must get a free kick. McGrath on the outer side. As I said earlier, has played every game this season. A rejuvenated career towards half-forward and Barnes uncontested, about 60 metres from goal.
Yes, he was free because Harding slipped over.
Pokes it up for Brownless. Ablett in from the side. It falls behind. Pike did nicely. The look-away handball and running it out is Lamb. His second bounce and a third. He storms out to half-back. He kicks to the wing. Coming up the ground is Turley. Awkward bounce in front there for Rogers. Taken by Hinckley. He was grabbed high. He'll get the free.
Just on 6 minutes remaining. Hinckley short to Rogers, who can run on. Inside 50. And Brownless was the target. He couldn't quite hold the mark. A dramatic first half here in this 92 grand final. And look at the centre breaks. We head towards half-time. Ablett to Poole, in trouble. Does get it away. Pike plonks his body over the ball. Farming it out. Stoneham over the top. Jakovic is caught. Riccardi tries to steal it. Ablett eventually does. Kicks it high in towards full forward. McIntosh is there. Brownless trying for a miracle. Merriman is still there. McKenna does the hassling. Merriman puts Luke to board and adds one behind. Well, this is what grand finals are all about. Worsfold can have a bit of a run here. To centre wing he goes. Langdon and McGrath. At the back, Waterman a chance. Now Hedy's loose. Couch chasing. Hedy spearing it in towards full forward. Sumic couldn't take it. Geelong defend again. Darcy appears to be on the mend. Over the top, Hocking. Eventually it sits. In towards the pocket he goes. Brownless can't take the mark. It goes over the line and a throw in Geelong's left forward pocket.
Yes, on 3 occasions now, Sandy, the forays into the forward line by the Eagles. Kicks just slightly astray and they've paid dearly for it. They've turned it over very quickly, Geelong, taking it back into their forward line.
Only 2 straight kicks in. Stoneham over the top. The bottom is Gary Ablett, the 30-year-old champion. Still in Geelong's attacking zone. No one able to get it cleared. Trevor Poole has lost a free kick because Guy McKenna had his head in his armpit. Too high.
McKenna out of defence. Hedy getting amongst it now. Close to the boundary line, the defensive side of right centre wing. 12 points the difference. Hedy towards half forward. Fisted away down there by Geelong in defence once more. Mainwaring is the man who's intended for. White takes a long time. Turley to Harding. Interesting handball, that one. Hinkley has been very good. He's on the wing. Hinkley goes looking for Couch off. Brilliantly done. Mansfield outside the 50. Sets it up for Brownless. McIntosh. McIntosh could have been taken high. Brownless did brilliantly. Merriman's hand pass is astray. Stoneham still an opportunity. Chips it back towards the 50. Mansfield leads back in the race. 60 metres out from goal to Stoneham. Right on the 50. Couch. And Couch is marked about 25 metres from goal and will get a 50.
Well, the Eagles are breaking down. Hedy looking for someone to kick to on half forward. There's no one there like a Stoneham that Geelong have. The ball rebounds. Stoneham, the player involved in that play up on half forward there. Chipped the ball out toward Merriman, and now we've got a shot at goal.
Couch directly in front.
There are all sorts of claims being made about light beer.
Under 3 minutes remaining in this first half. Trevor Poole is off the ground for Geelong, and Andrew Wills has taken his place. Three straight kicks the margin in this 92 grand final. Barnes sets himself up against Harding. Won by Harding. Who can win it out of the middle? Couch is set upon. Hedy's come into the game. Hocking trying to. Harding a short kick. His target was Matera. Couch throws it out. Now a chance for Bairstow. Matera slow to get up behind play. Ablett trapped it well. Scott tries to get it out to him. He does. From 50 metres. He recovers. Tries to do too much and gets caught by Lamb, who loses it to Harding. Harding kicks wide to the outer side. Mansfield and a Waterman. Mansfield front spot, playing the ball along in front of him. Now gives it away to his teammate in Couch. Hocking is there. Look at the ferocity. Players as they attack that ball. And there'll be a bounce on the outer side.
Well, the umpires need to be a little careful now. Matera was taken some distance from the ball. Watch this.
And there's too much head-high stuff going. That's the umpire's responsibility to control that.
On centre wing, Rogers takes a timely, steadying mark. Still in the middle. Barnes does it casually with the one hand and looks for Brownless. Can't take the mark. McIntosh in trouble. Pushes it out wide towards White, who runs out of room. Great work by Peter Riccardi.
Great pressure. Good stuff. Barnes just proving a bit mobile at the moment for Paul Harding, just reading the play better.
Almost half-time. Stoneham from behind. Lamb going nowhere. Riccardi dashes in. Lamb to get the free kick.
Bit of jostling off the ball. Matera and Bairstow.
Wills and Kemp.
He's lost it, Matera. He's going to lose it.
That's where the ball is. It simply turns over directly to the man who was standing the mark, I fancy. Or will Bairstow take the kick? And now we've got an outbreak of violence. Wills and Kemp. Bairstow and Matera. Scott's got the ball. Scott, centering kick. Down towards Brownless. McIntosh has done very well. Gets it on the ground. Well, almost. Picking up the crumbs before it hit the ground was Evans, who boots it out of bounds on the bounce on the outer side. So inside the last minute of the first half, a pulsating grand final. And the Cats, a different combination from the one we saw in the second semi. This game is now simmering as Evans boots it towards the wing. Soccering off the ground is Heady, down towards half forward, taken by Langdon. Possibly should have kicked it. White kicks inside the attacking 50. Going back is Hinckley. Sumich is surrounded by Geelong defenders. Darcy gave it away. Mainwaring running away from his own goal. In the other direction against the flow is Langdon. He pulls it back. Hinckley. Down they go. He and Turley picked up by Sumich. Sumich's snap is a good-looking one. It's bending around the post. I think it may be a goal. It is. Remarkable. He's got his second. In the dying seconds of the first half, Peter Sumich kicks an outstanding goal.
Well, gee, they've worked hard for the goals, but this was brilliant, really was. Should never got near the goals from there, Sumich, but he just did so very well. Hardly a look. Fantastic. Well done.
The margin is back to 12 points. It was 17 at quarter time. Just seconds remain. That could be the last score of the first half as Heady soccers towards half forward. Hinckley's in the road. There's the siren. It's half-time in the grand final. And Geelong lead by 12. Brownless now and McIntosh. Well, there have been battles like this all over the ground. And what is second half is in prospect. The West Coast Eagles, marginal favourites coming in. But the Geelong Cats are standing tall at the present time. And earlier, Kemp and Wills got involved. This was after the relayed free kick against Matera. So the umpires really having trouble staying abreast of all of this. And Kemp taking Wills a little high there.
I think Kemp just welcoming Wills onto the ground for his grand final. It's hot in the kitchen, and they all know it. So it should be.
Words being exchanged as the players leave the ground. So half-time in the big one. As we said earlier, no second chances. 8-8 plays, 6-8, Geelong lead.
Gee, what a magnificent first half. At half-time, Geelong leads by 12 points. 8-8, the goal scorers for the Cats. 2 to Brownless, 1 to Paul, 1 to Riccardi, 1 to Couch, Ablett, Stoneham, and also Bruns. And the 3 goal kickers for West Coast, Sumich, Matera, and Evans, with 2 apiece. So it's 8-8 to 6.
1992 AFL Premiership season. 7 Sport Mitsubishi Motors Mark of the Year. Your phone vote could win you a Mitsubishi Magna. Dial the phone number on the mark you want to vote for. Mark 1, Tony Lockett, St Kilda. Mark 2, Wayne Wiedemann, Adelaide. Mark 3, Darren Jarman, Hawthorn. Mark 4, Darren Wheeldon, Fitzroy. Mark 5, Nicky Winmar, St Kilda. The winner of the Mark of the Year will also receive a Mitsubishi Magna. You have until 4 p.m. today to register your vote.
Don't forget those phone numbers: Lockett, Wiedemann, Jarman, Wheeldon and Winmar. And the Mark of the Year, if you don't get through straight away, keep trying, and we'll be announcing the winners before the end of the telecast today. And this is what the players are playing for today: the AFL Replica Cup. For the first time this year, each of the 20 players, either West Coast players or Geelong players, will receive a replica of the AFL Cup along with the normal medallion. Well, it's been a long time since the teams come from behind at half-time. 1984, in fact, and won. Peter McKenna and Don Don Scott. I wouldn't bet against the Eagles just yet.
Yes, it's a typical grand final, and Don, tough and hard and ferocious tackling and a terrific atmosphere, isn't it?
Well, I was surprised with Geelong the way they came. I suppose they really had to do something, Peter, because they were pretty pathetic last time they played the Eagles. Interesting enough, the Eagles lined up exactly the way I thought they would, with 4 players getting jobs. But I think the one of Bairstow kind of coming onto Matera through the West Coast off a little bit. Kemp, I think, is doing particularly well. He's had 2 opponents. His second opponent's just gone on him, and that is Wills. But some good players on both sides. Riccardi, although he hasn't had a lot of possessions, has done some very, very good things and also responsible for a couple of goals.
As we have a look at the match stats, West Coast falling down very badly across half forward, where McGrath and Hinkley are doing particularly well. But look at the marking, Geelong 27-17. And in the centre breaks, it evened up in that quarter. It was West Coast one quarter and Geelong the other.
Don Scott and Peter McKenna. Let's go and join Ian Robertson and Gerard Healy to talk about the big names and possible match winners to half-time.
Yes, thanks, Bruce. Very intense first half. Terrific from the boundary line. I think the biggest problem the Eagles face is kicking a winning score, with Lewis, Heady and Sumich down, and Geelong having 8 goals on the board already. I think if they can double that, kick 16, Robbo, they're probably just about home.
Well, actually, it is interesting. I think the Geelong defence could be given a lot of credit, but always the defence have to thank the guys up the field, don't they? The midfield players for Geelong and the Geelong forwards are working very, very well. I mean, you don't have to worry about tension down here at ground level. Grand finals are grand finals, aren't they, Gerard? It's last man standing, and I think that's the thing that you've got to give Geelong credit for. Their intensity has increased from 2 weeks ago. Obviously, Malcolm Blight and his cohorts have seen that Matera and Mainwaring were the key players across the centre line, so they've matched up. What a terrific performance by Bairstow, even though Matera's played well. And Mainwaring on the other side, Brunsey hasn't had many posies, but he's done a good job to try and negate Mainwaring's influence.
Yes, I think Malcolm Blight obviously watches Sports World. I think Djakovic and Stoneham, it's a pivotal contest, and I think it may really influence the result.
Well, isn't it terrific for the fans that we've got such a great day to see all these very, very good players showing all the skills, and the crowd gets excited when the ball streams down the ground. It really is a great atmosphere down here at ground level.
Great atmosphere everywhere here at the moment. Ian Robertson and Gerard Healy. A break, back with more after this.
There are all sorts of claims being made about light beers these days. So what's so special about Foster's Special?
The new Mazda T-Series trucks have arrived. So now you can buy a superseded Mazda T-Series for just $20,990. It's a Mazda end-of-model clearance that's built to work.
King G overalls fit any shape and situation. King G overalls. If they're any tougher, they'd rust.
Right now onto the S. It's 25 minutes to 3. And don't forget, we're going to be with you right through the 4 o'clock zone.
You can't change the situation. But how would you like a second chance to choose your tire?
Can tyres make a difference?
Goodyear can.
25 degrees, it's a beautiful day and the surf's up, so listen to this, serve up for you. Hey!
If it only saves you once a year, it's a Goodyear.
As you pound your opponent, your eyes take on a scary, crazed look. You're not thinking of your family in Russia, nor of the other fighters you annihilated on the way here. You're focused on just one thing. The day when you become Australia's next world champion. Find out what it feels like to be Costa Zoo in this month's issue of Sports Illustrated Australia. Get Sports Illustrated. Get the feeling.
Yeah? You bought a new mobile phone?
Yeah, and I'm not real sure how to work it.
We'll call Telecom Mobile Net.
Oh, yeah, 7 p.m. on a Sunday night.
Telecom MobileNet has 24-hour customer service all around Australia.
Come on, who in the world gets 24-hour customer service from a phone company?
We do, Chucky. We do.
Telecom Mobile Net, Australia's own.
Okay, boys, let's go.
Are you gonna arrest me?
Challenge me, we all go down!
Tell me you want me.
Take your positions.
I got the guns!
It's crazy, what's wrong?
I am the law! I'm looking for General! I want Tracy dead!
Toyota presents the television premiere of Dick Tracy, 8:30 Sunday on 7.
Jennifer Kite meets Geoffrey Kennett's best assets.
His best quality is probably the fact that he loves me.
A frank and honest discussion.
So we've been through this 2 times before.
A revealing exclusive interview.
Outside these walls he's liberated, but certainly around here he knows his place.
Felicity Kennett, a 7 News special report Monday.
A small town secret, a childhood pact, and a mysterious power unleashed. One of the most riveting thrillers ever, Stephen King's It, begins Monday.
Welcome back to the MCG. Well, most of us caught the bus, a tram, a taxi, drove or even walked to the Melbourne Cricket Ground today, but not the world flag jump record holder David Benson. This is how he arrived in style and made a clean jump. David Benson coming in to the Melbourne Cricket Ground today. Quite a spectacular entry, if I could say so. Well, in Perth today, enormous interest, of course, in this match. One city, 1 million people, all supporting one team, West Coast, and as you can imagine, it's deserted there at the moment. They're all watching the game through 7 Sport. Many thousands have flown to Melbourne today. There was a jumbo jet, in fact, that came over today, more than 10 extra flights from Perth, but the streets are completely deserted. One place that's not deserted is Steve's Hotel. We showed you this shot earlier from the Nedlands. It's a real favourite of the Eagles supporters, and Keith Geary's there at half-time.
Yes, Bruce, they've livened up here a little bit. We're in the Eagles Club Bar. Now, prior to the game, I did a bit of a survey. The average result was a win to the Eagles by 12 points. So this crowd are hoping for a 24-point turnaround in the last quarter of the game. Now, I've got to say that the 120 umpires in this room are not happy with their 2 colleagues on the ground, particularly after the Pike incident. And the other couple of little things. One bloke thought it would be the final kick of the game, the last minute, Carl Langdon a goal. Somebody else had a dream this week and thought that the game would end in a tie. But this lot think the Eagles are going to get home.
Keith Geary at the Nedlands Hotel, Steve's Hotel at the Nedlands, and they're all barracking for West Coast at this stage. Paul Couch has been a most important player in the first half, Don Scott.
Yes, well, he had Hetty moved on to him in the second part of the second quarter. Still picked up these 17-odd possessions, but he is chasing. Does a lot of his work forward of the pack.
Chris Waterman, well, he's an underrated player, Chris Waterman. His second term, a very, very good term where he had 6 and 1, and he's been one of the Eagles' better players right throughout the day.
This is the man I like. He's playing at centre-half back. He's got a job on Langdon. A good battle between those two. He's adding a lot of strength. He's running straight and continuing on from his second semi-final form.
Well, what can you say about Peter Materi? He was well held in the second term, but who'll forget that magnificent goal from the half-forward line where he beat 2 opponents and bombed it in from 50 metres. He is an exciting player.
Don Scott, Peter McKenna looking at 4 of the important players in the first half in this grand final. We got off to a great start today with the Australian soprano Joan Carden performing Waltzing Matilda and the national anthem, and Jones with Gerard Healy.
Yes, thanks, Bruce. Well, Joan, on behalf of everybody I was speaking to, congratulations. Absolutely magnificent performance. I don't think I've ever felt a better atmosphere before the game with the national anthem.
Oh, that's really good to hear.
And the crowd, would this be the biggest crowd you've ever sung in front?
Yes, it's by about 10,000. Opera in the Park in Sydney gets 100,000.
Well, we've broken a little bit of a record for you. Do you think that perhaps you are Australia's most popular opera singer? Do you think that perhaps your performance today could spark some further support for opera itself?
I hope so. I hope that people will be interested to see what the rest of my colleagues look like and sound like.
I do believe you've teamed up with with a jazz superstar, James Morrison. You're performing in Queensland. What's that all about?
Well, that's jazz classics and operatic classics, and he's a great person to work with. He's got a tremendous personality and he's a wonderful musician, and I love his music, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations, Joan, and thanks for your support.
Sport and opera going hand in hand, and a reminder that October 6 is the date for the world premiere concert for Joan Carden and James Morrison as they commence their tour. We take a break from the Melbourne Cricket Ground. What a first half it's been. Back with more after this.
Down to the wire in Coca-Cola Future Ball, and White just ahead but in trouble as the referee steps in and says, freeze it, mate. Red rolls them back with a long bunt into the pocket. Sensational mark, play on, handball, and he lines up the goal to win the game. But here comes the siren and kills them all. It's all over. And White wins. By a point, get your scorecard and match this week's score for your chance to win from the $1 million prize pool. Red 122, White 123, full-time Coca-Cola Future Ball.
When you've got to load up the back, it's what's up front that really counts. The new Navara, now with a 3-litre V6 from Nissan. The new Nissan.
You've got the whole world in your hands, with MasterCard in your hand. You've got the whole world in your hands, with MasterCard in your command. You've got the whole world in your hands, with MasterCard.
MasterCard opens more doors in more places. You've got the whole world in your hands with MasterCard.
T-Series trucks have arrived. So now you can buy a superseded Mazda T-Series for just $20,990. It's a Mazda end-of-model clearance that's built to work.
Welcome back. This is the Geelong room. During the break, you see some strange sights at half-time. Robert Scott coming over to Barry Stoneham, who's had some calf problems. He worked on the bike for 4 or 5 minutes, keeping himself nice and loose, Stoneham, and he's looking for a big second half. Bernie Quinlan and Tim Watson are on the boundary. Tim Watson's been looking after the Eagles today. They've got 3 or 4 players well and truly down at the moment, Tim, and the balance is going to be most important for them.
Yes, very much so, Bruce. At half-time, Mickey Malthouse rushed in to the rooms. He went around to each player individually and spoke to them, urging them on, pointing out a couple of errors that a couple of them made during that second quarter. But the mood in the West Coast Eagles room was very strange for a grand final side at half-time. I think the boys were perhaps a little bit shell-shocked by the physical pressure exerted by Geelong in that first half, and I just hope that they can calm down enough over the half-time break and come out in this third quarter. Chris Mainwaring had a bit of an ankle injury. He limped into the rooms at half-time, had a fair bit of treatment at half-time, and also Johnny Worsfold's nursing a nice cut under the left eye.
Yes, well, security very tight in the Geelong rooms. I wasn't allowed in there, Bruce. The cameramen were, but the reporters weren't. Trevor Poole, I noticed coming off at half-time, was limping slightly. He has trouble with blistered feet, but they did seem very confident walking up the race, and plenty of G'ing up going on as the players went into the rooms.
Right, thank you, gentlemen. So the second half about to get underway. Interesting to see who makes their way to the bench for Geelong. Looks as though it will be Miles and Paul.
Yes, and Mitchell White and Peter Wilson for the Eagles still.
Intriguing situation, this one. The Eagles have trailed at half-time in 9 games this season. They're the best come-from-behind side in the league. They've come back to win 5. The best ratio in the AFL. So if you were stage managing this, this is the way you would set it up.
Third in 1990. Second in 91. Can they take the next step? Can Geelong break a 29-year drought? 2 straight kicks in it as we enter the second half. Barnes and Harding go at it. Kemp couldn't get it away cleanly. Bairstow over the shoulder with a high kick. Scott and Waterman almost collide.
Free kick, Waterman.
He'll take it on the defensive side of centre. To half forward. Bruns is in front. Coming over the top was Brennan. No mark is paid. Brennan riding. Bruns still going. Mansfield was at the bottom, and he was able to scoop it out to Simpson. Sweeping it wide. Stolen by Waterman on the boundary line. He sends the Eagles into attack. A goal here would be like gold for them. Craig Turley gets a poor bounce. He may get another chance, Turley. No, Hinkley applies the tackle. And the umpire Dennis Rich, comes in for a bounce.
Yes, there's been a couple of crucial slips today. Another one there by Turley.
The Eagles bench with Robert Wiley. Barnes straight to Lewis. Round his body he goes. Langdon waits. Mansfield a short kick. And now McGrath sends them out of the immediate danger zone, but only as far as Heady was coming into the game late in the second quarter.
Yes, still on couch. Turley still in the forward pocket, obviously, as you saw before.
Heady inside the 50 now. Sumich works his way in front. Over the top, Hinkley angles it out to the boundary. It'll be thrown in.
And Sumich going crook at Craig Turley there, saying, "You're in my territory."
And Sumich put Hinkley down. Nothing too sinister, but chested into the ground. There's Brennan, smothered off the boot by Hocking, who flips it up brilliantly to Mansfield. High kick to midfield. Ablett and Jakovic on a collision course. Ball runs free behind. Stoneham with the pace, left it behind. Toe poked forward by Scott. Grabbed by Heady. Finds Harding on the wing. Harding. Long kick inside the 50. Barnes up. The superior judgment shown by Lewis.
Well done, Chris Lewis there. Just kept his eyes on the footy. Read it better. And Gary Ablett still feeling the pinch there with that clash with Jakovic. And here we see well read by Chris Lewis.
So often the way immediately after half-time it takes the players 5 minutes or so to pick up the tempo. Not so here. Lewis kicks and misses. But the margin is less than 2 goals now. The early going of the third term. 6-9 plays 8-8. A vast crowd. Seeing one of the great grand finals so far. That first half will be hard to match anytime, anywhere. Darcy to the outer side. Too much carry on the kick for Barnes. Marked by Scott behind, who plays on immediately. From half back to midfield. Mansfield will go with his right boot. Down towards half forward and Ablett. Worsfold in front does well towards the boundary. Jakovic just paddles it across. But he got some angle on that one.
Well done by Robert Scott there to provide the lead for the kick out. Ran all the way down from the pocket. Away from Lamb. Good thinking.
Just into the Cats' attacking zone. Heady back towards centre wing. Barnes trying to spoil from behind. Mansfield a hurried kick to the 50-metre line. Merriman was there but couldn't take the mark. Scott is quick. A left foot chip. No mark to Brownless. He had to prop. It was a poor kick. McIntosh has support through Brett Heady. And the Eagles are out of trouble. Up to centre wing. Only as far as that position. As Hinkley is unable to take the mark. Luck of fortune there because Turley went a little early. And Ken Hinkley could have snuck away.
On centre wing. Harding wins it, but straight to Couch. Gets rid of it to Hocking. Gary Hocking. Passes in towards Ablett. Brownless wants someone going past. It is Ablett. And he's kicked it. The Cats answer. Ablett gets his second. 9-8. Plays 6-9.
There's brilliance there, and as that was happening, Craig Turley taken from the ground. Peter Wilson back on. Just watch this once more. Ablett back on the football very quickly. Just assessed it very well and finished off nicely.
So the margin out to 17 points now. Slammed forward by Barnes towards half forward. Ablett didn't have the ball. He'll get the free kick. Gary Ablett. He kicked 9 goals in the 89 grand final. And
no one on the mark.
Medal.
You can kick it from here.
Ablett, well, he tried to and miscues completely, but luck's a fortune. Awkward bounce for Stoneham, who was metres in the clear. He's dragged down. Waterman, who started the term well, almost dropped it out there, goes after it again, and there's a whistle. Waterman a bit lucky. Ball up, left half back for the West Coast Eagles. In fact, it's a throw-up. Stoneham and Jakovic. Lamb, the hurried kick around the outer side, full-chested to meet the ball. Wilson, he took it brilliantly on the half volley, measures the options and the hand pass. It comes inboard to Evans. Evans towards the 50. Lewis couldn't hang on. It spills back to Wilson. Hurried kick. Mainwaring's in front of Bruns. Still Mainwaring back to goal. Langdon with great courage manufactures a chance for Evans, who kicks a goal.
BP's.
The margin is 11 points. Couch sends Geelong down to the half-forward line, but only as far as McKenna. He's called to play on. Short kick in towards the centre. Hocking waits at the back for the Cats. Wide to Scott. Want to get round onto the right foot. Can't. He's forced onto the left. And that's a poor kick. Straight to Harding. To half-forward. McGrath at the back. An effective spoil towards the boundary line. Carl Langdon there too.
McGrath's been very good today, Sandy.
Very disciplined. Barnes and Harding, one by the former. Wills came on in the second quarter, replacing Trevor Poole. Sees it over the line. Harding wins it again, but it's Barnes who taps it out. Waterman tries to intercept. Kemp off the ground. Bairstow couldn't trap it. Could have almost been kicking in danger. Heading in towards full forward. Dangerous times here for Geelong as Lewis swings it round his body, but he goes too wide. One behind, and we are again, gentlemen, back to a 10-point march.
Yeah, it's just having a chat at half-time, just suggesting, wondering whether or not Geelong, with these games on end, Eagles with the break maybe a little fresher coming into the second half. Remains to be seen how Geelong stand up.
Tim Darcy to the outer side. Harding and Barnes in front. Wilson. Simpson pushes it across the boundary line. It'll be tossed in. Just under 18 minutes till three-quarter time. The grand final. And Geelong lead narrowly. McGrath straight to Brennan. High kick inside the 50. Sumich in front. Rogers over the top. Gets it out of bounds. It'll be tossed in. Andrew Rogers. Much travelled player. McGrath and Langdon. Langdon, who manufactured that last goal, out-rucked that time. Lamb burrowing in. And a whistle. Ready for anything. It's had everything. Brennan finds it on the ground. Was he carried forward? No. Wilson, like a cork in the ocean, over his head. It's, oh my word! What a goal! His first. And now the Eagles creep closer.
Yes, he's just come onto the ground, replacing Turley. Could have been a free kick to Brennan. It could have been a free kick to Wilson also for a trip. There was one earlier on the umpire's miss. That's a freak goal. Great team lifter.
The Eagles are set to pounce. Can the Cats answer? From the middle, Simpson crashes to the ground. Kemp goes storming through. Across to Heady. A delicate little chip to the run of Matera. Suddenly the Eagles are alight. Matera sets sail for home. And the Eagles hit the front. Three goals to Peter Matera. Three sensational goals.
Well, that's as good as Abbott's goal in the first quarter, I think it was. Fantastic. Just brilliant stuff from Peter Matera.
Centre bounce once again. Eagles fans have come to life. Stoneham caught. The ball spills free. Heady soccers off the ground. Down towards Wilson again. This time he's trapped. Barnes. McGrath, who's had a marvellous game, to half forward. The Cats need to find something to reply. Steady kick by Jakovich out wide to Worsfold. That cut under the right eye. He goes to centre wing. Brennan was his target. Simpson is with him. Oh. A free kick to Simpson. Got one a little high.
Peter Wilson struggling behind play too. Heavy clash. After that tackle straight on that hard turf there.
Worsfold takes a mark. That centre wicket area very hard. Peter Wilson could tell you all about that. Worsfold back towards half forward. Not a good kick. Kemp almost the mark. Going against the flow was Lewis. Dragged down. And a bounce. Momentum has shifted in the grand final. The Eagles lead by 2 points. Harding attempted something out of mid-air. It comes back to him. Hinkley, forward of half-back. There's a Geelong player down. Didn't see what happened to him. He's holding his head. Mark, meantime, is held by McKenna. Bairstow popped one high as he was attempting to shepherd. McKenna across the ground. Matera. Oh, what a good mark. Marvellous mark. Matera inside the centre square. On the lead, Sumich. The last 5 minutes from the West Coast Eagles is irresistible.
There's Miles, he's onto the ground. Merriman off.
Evans. A short pass from Sumich. Tony Evans has kicked 3 goals this afternoon. His fourth is about 35 metres away, if he's accurate. Hinkley and Brennan. Michael Malthouse getting Wilson on the ground has been a very good move. Evans has missed. Well wide of the mark. But the Eagles increase their lead.
.3 points, the margin now, as Tim Darcy gets the game going once more. Travels to the outer side. Barnes was his target. Hocking does the roving work. Bad option by Buddha Hocking. It could prove very costly. Kemp into the pocket. Sumich got a hand to it, but that was all. And it's rushed over the line.
Yes, Gary Hocking there, Sandy, quite right. Should have been a kick when you're in that area there. Get it out very quickly and as far away from there as you can.
Barnes tries to smash it clear, but he can't. Hocking and Langdon both down there. So too Hinkley at the bottom. And it's Peter Wilson. Gritty determination as the Eagles have blasted their way back into this grand final. Lewis, clever kick. Oh, very clever kick and almost succeeded in goal.
Great defence by Darcy.
Darcy, my word, it really was. Kept his eyes on the footy. Got a hand to it.
9-12 plays 9-8.
Darcy once more. The underside wing. Stoneham and Djakovic. They wrestle. Again, it falls forward. Again, a chance for the Eagles. Evans.
Oh, taken high, surely.
That tackle was applied out there by the defender Merriman. Hocking goes over the top. Stoneham back to Hocking. Kicks to the wing. And the mark is held in front by Heady. He's doing well. Heady. Back to centre half forward. Or punch forward. Geelong had the players in front, but Evans put his body in and wins the free kick. A couple of the Geelong players just standing back there. Evans is really fired up, goes looking for Sumic. Darcy got a hand on the ball. He was held, I thought, Darcy. No free. In trouble, Rogers. He heads for the boundary line, was held by the leg and will get the free kick.
Just under 12 minutes remaining in this third quarter. Rogers short to Simpson. Kemp chasing. Simpson has a bit of space. It's not a good kick. Mainwaring eludes Bruns. Pumps the Eagles back into their attacking zone once again. But in the way this time is Wills. Chris Lewis making sure that he's going nowhere fast. Wills to centre wing. Harding and Barnes are both there. Heady comes over the top. Heady has improved as the game has progressed. Barnes. It sits nicely for Bairstow. Geelong into half forward. Again, the kick is a poor one. And again, McIntosh cuts off another dangerous thrust. He heads to the outer side, to the run of Matera. Robert Scott's in his wake, but he won't give up. What a tackle. Oh.
That's a terrific chase by Scott there, and also as Matera is ready to balk, Scott just slowed down as well, did it extremely well.
Marks for this quarter. The aerial work certainly going the way of the West Coast Eagles. Four points the margin. Waterman can't get clear. Tried to give it to Kemp. Peter Keary comes over to take charge as Mansfield hands it over. Finally towards Langdon. Maintains his footing, but McGrath eventually bowls him over. Heady doing some shepherding. This could be dangerous for Geelong as Djakovic bounced his way to the 50-metre line. On 50, he kicks for goal, but he's pulled it. And one behind is the result.
It's usually some players do that. They go to the right rather than straightening up and running directly at goal. They run away from it, making the kick more difficult.
Well, this game at the moment being played exclusively in one half. Hinkley to Bairstow. 9-13 to 9-8. Bairstow right across the ground. That's okay though. Rogers towards the wing with a high kick. Back goes Heady, almost the mark. Lamb needs support. Back to Heady quickly to his feet. Count's got him. And a bounce. Just over 9 minutes till three-quarter time. Big turn by the West Coast Eagles. They trailed by 12 points at the half. Barnes wrestling there with Harding. Over the top was Ablett. McIntosh well shepherded by Worsfold. Boots it out wide. Matera again left it behind this time. Bairstow did brilliantly. He was held without it, Bairstow. He'll get the free kick forward of left half back.
Geelong's last score, Dennis, at the 5-minute mark of this quarter.
Bairstow coming up for his 19th possession. The 86 Sandover medalist. The Geelong skipper towards half forward. McIntosh was high. Wills got a fist on it. McIntosh, little kick towards the wing. Awkward half volley for Matera. It ricochets off his body and goes out of bounds. Peter Matera has kicked 3 goals this afternoon. Boundary throw in. Right on the wing. Harding wins it forward, intended for Mainwaring. Sliding in there is Bruns, and another whistle.
Just on 8 minutes remaining in this quarter. 5 points the margin. A mighty fight back by the Eagles. Simpson looks for the free kick as he gives ground and eventually runs out of room. Langdon does the ruck work for the Eagles. Wills could have been held, but play goes on. Hocking pushed in the back and take a free kick. Gary Hocking coming up for his 12th kick, but hasn't been as damaging in this final series as we know he can be. 2 Geelong players here want to be careful, Couch and Darcy. Couch's kick to the half-forward line. Worsfold leads in the race, away from Ablett. Draws Stoneham, that lets Djakovic free. Hedy's loose on the outer side. He can set something up here. Over the 50-metre line. No mark taken by Brennan. Lewis tries to get the hand pass away, but it goes straight to Hocking. And Gary Hocking can tidy up for the Cats. Oh, it's a poor kick. It's going to give Hedy another chance. A short chip for Sumich.
Yes, that Gary Hocking kick, he was looking for the boundary, had no options to go long. Hedy was right in his way, so he aimed to go along the ground toward the boundary. It didn't work. And there's a shot at goal.
Peter Sumich kicked 1 in the first, 1 in the second. This to make the margin 11 points. The Eagles' greatest lead in the game. Distance should not be a problem. 49 metres. Drop punt looks pretty good. That's another one to the Eagles.
Now, after a slow start, Harding against the flow, crashing his way through as Hocking. Hocking swings it out wide. The mark is held by Stoneham. Hasn't seen much of the ball in this term. Barry Stoneham on the wing. A high kick inside the attacking 50, Miles on the forward line. Scott left without the ball, sliding in there is Pike, and a whistle. Jeff Miles in round 19 kicked 5 goals as a forward for the Cats. He's in a forward pocket at the moment on McKenna. Behind the pack, Kemp with dash comes away from centre half back towards half forward. Langdon worked under the ball by McGrath. Quick hands from Brennan, too quick, but it comes back to Matera. Matera on the 50, he could kick this. Matera, it's going to be a goal. The West Coast Eagles now are looking very good. Matera has 4 goals from the wing, bearing in mind the record for a grand final is 9.
Yes, and here we see Mark Bairstow. He wasn't far behind Matera, just lost control of that ball for a split second. And gee, does Matera make you pay dearly.
17 points in favour of the Eagles. From the middle, Kemp tries to blast them out again, and he's going to. To the half-forward line, Darcy clears away from Peter Sumich and takes the mark. Under 5 minutes remaining. And the West Coast Eagles about to throw down the challenge. If you're good enough, you catch us. If not, it's our flag. The centre wing, Stoneham.
He's having to get his kicks right up the ground too, which is taking or detracting from their half-forward play.
He kicks to that position now. Ablett tried to use the body. McKenna and Pike are both there. It is McKenna who picks it up and goes wide towards Djakovic, close to the boundary line. With him is Stoneham. Still going Stoneham. Now Mansfield.
Free kick to Stoneham, Sandy, holding on.
Yep. He just pushed the ball along in front.
Why would you keep it in?
Stoneham. To the half-forward line. Brownless went a little early. Bairstow a snap at goal. Misses to the right. The margin is 16 points. And that is their first score since the 5-minute mark of this quarter. So the Eagles have dominated this term. McKenna to Kemp. Towards Brennan. Can't quite trap it on the half volley, so the door opens for Hinkley. Oh, he does it beautifully. Now, he may goal here. This would be a team-lifting goal. Away to the right, and coming back to hit the post.
Absolutely outstanding play, that. Just attacked the football, controlled it, got through a tackle, deserved better.
Marvellous run by Ken Hinkley. He's been a star all season long for the Cats. McKenna, members side, Harding is up in front, takes the mark. Paul Harding, barking instructions. Chips it square almost to Pike. Pike down towards half forward. Wilson from behind Bruns thumps it towards the boundary line. McGrath, who's been very physical this afternoon, just seeking out Peter Wilson that time. Poole waiting to come back on.
It wills the play to go off.
So the Cats leading the next goal. One down by Barnes. Heady slides in. Riccardi had it go through his legs. Still he battles the youngster, was taken high. He'll get the free kick. He started very well, Riccardi. He's drifted out of the game and he's hurt his hand. Riccardi on the wing. 11-13, 9-10. The Eagles in front. Jakovic gets a fist on it. Hocking, it was too hot for him. Pike and Hocking wrestle as they chase that ball. Hocking held initially, and then Pike to be tossed in. Just over 2 minutes till three-quarter time. Marvellous turn by the West Coast Eagles. Will it be a Premiership winning term? Time will tell. Couch has other ideas, but he can't keep it in. Oh, wow.
Well, where is he going?
That was a genuine slip, I'm sure. Couch was trying to hand pass the ball.
He's the only player making the football his objective, and he gets penalised.
Pike with a resultant free kick towards the wing. Evans, it could be a costly free too as Matera runs with it now. He runs to 50. Is it his fifth goal? It's bending. Hit the post. Well, that's fair enough. Geelong have had their share.
.16 points. This man hit the post just minutes ago. Ken Hinkley goes to the outer side. He's looking for his tall timber in Barnes, who recovers magnificently. Kicks into the open spaces, the wide open spaces. Jakovic will be first there. Sneaks away from Stoneham. Goes back to centre wing, but back towards Barnes. Can't take it cleanly. Rogers applies the tackle on Harding. Bruns having trouble getting into it. Wilson working hard, and he locks it up underneath. Eventually out the back door to Mainwaring. Chris Mainwaring, a hurried kick under pressure. Langdon unable to take it. Evans surrounded. And steaming in a little too late is Peter Wilson for another bounce. Just over half a minute remaining. The Cats would dearly love a goal before three-quarter time, and the Eagles would be just as anxious. They may get the chance through Matera. Here is the great runner. Clever little hand pass. Back it goes to Brennan. Brennan pulls it back, but not far enough. One behind. You get that feeling of excitement when Matera gets the ball, a la this man, Gary Ablett. But it's been Matera today. Couch. With him Heady. It's the siren. The whistle had sounded for a free kick to Paul Couch. But the Eagles are set up for their first flag. At three-quarter time, they lead 11-15, 81. Geelong at 9-10, 64.
Well, here high on the catwalk of the Great Southern Stand, you certainly do get an eagle's eye view. But don't go away, you've got the best seat in the house on 7. We'll be back with all the final quarter action.
In the third quarter, they've turned it round, and at three-quarter, it's 11-15, Geelong 9-10.
7 Sport Mitsubishi Motors Mark of the Year. Your phone vote could win you a Mitsubishi Magna. Dial the phone number on the mark you want to vote for. Mark 1, Tony Lockett, St Kilda. Mark 2, Wayne Wiedemann, Adelaide. Mark 3, Darren Jarman, Hawthorn. Mark 4, Darren Wheeldon, Fitzroy. Mark 5, Nicky Winmar, St Kilda. The winner of the Mark of the Year will also receive a Mitsubishi Magna. You have until 4 p.m. today to register your vote.
Should know those numbers by now. 5 minutes to register your vote. Mark of the Year winners will be announced at the conclusion of today's match. Let's join Tim Watson and Bernie Quinlan on the boundary line.
Yes, Tim, how'd you go there?
Well, the Eagles were very excited at three-quarter time. All the boys were talking to each other, yelling at each other, urging each other on. And Mickey Malthouse came in amongst the players and told them to settle down and to keep their composure in this last quarter. He also spoke to Chris Lewis and said that he wants him to get underneath the packs and get some crumbs.
He's very quiet in the Geelong camp, Malcolm Blight. Not excited about things at the moment, but really implored Barry Stoneham for a big effort in this last quarter. Neville Bruns believes that they're kicking with the breeze, with the advantage of the breeze in the last term. Jeff Myers will be playing at full forward. They'll be looking for his leads. If they can't get it to him, they'll be going long to Billy Brownless in the goal square.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. 17 points the margin as Roscoe, we check those third quarter stats.
Yes, that's very indicative of how much the Eagles dominated that quarter, 59-38. Even though Geelong through Barnes were winning the hit-outs, they were certainly taken toll of on the ground by the Eagles runners.
The Eagles produced 34-point turnaround in that quarter, and Dean Kemp was sensational. 5 kicks. And he was one of the players instrumental, Ross.
My word, he along with Hetty just worked very, very hard, as you can see there, all over the ground.
So here we go. It's all come down to this. A year's work. The Eagles looking for their first AFL Premiership. The Cats looking to break a 29-year drought. First goal in this term will be vital. Bairstow loses it to Wilson, but he in turn gets caught. Couch can't get clear. Hocking trying desperately to spoon it out.
Well done.
Finally he does. To the run of Bairstow. His kick drops short. Taken by Djakovic. A high ball. Bruns has got to sit and wait. Langdon comes over the top. Mainwaring threads his way out of trouble. Chris Mainwaring stabs to Lewis. Yes! Chris Lewis goes short again. And now Peter Sumich. He can go over the top. How's this for a goal? Peter Matera, there's another one. Catch a snap as Matera boots his stick.
Gee, that's very untidy marking by Geelong there. Just allow Matera to run freely down. And runs under pressure on the wing here, unable to take the mark, and the ball spills free. Sumich unselfishly here. Matera runs past. You can just see him there on the shadow on the right. And an easy goal in the end. Too easy.
Great contest by Langdon on the wing, forcing Bruns into error. Bairstow, quick hand pass away to Poole. The Cats not done with yet. Down towards half forward. Pike a timely fist. Towards the boundary, Ablett. Miles is in there for the Cats. McKenna. Now Hetty, who was terrific in the third term, to the voice. He honoured the voice. McKenna provided it. Away comes Evans, who's been a star. Towards half forward, Langdon. McGrath does well and gets it out of bounds. It'll be tossed in. The redhead and the blonde. Langdon in trouble. Cramped up slightly. He's on his feet. Barnes could have been pushed in the back. Hinkley against the flow. He's a marvellous player, Hinkley. Never loses sight of the ball. A whistle and a bounce at left half forward.
Langdon coming off, Mitchell White to come on.
Barnes in front, flicks it behind. Kemp, high kick inside the 50. They come from all directions. Hinkley again with that attribute I was just talking about.
Correct, exactly right.
Plays on across the ground. Rogers into space. The Cats need to work it around the outer side. He tries to pull it back. That's a little fancy. Harding read it, then left it behind at close quarters, very close quarters to Lamb, who rakes it in, and that's good enough for the West Coast Eagles. So a ball up. There's Langdon. Harding and Barnes go at it again. Barnes decisively pushed in the back Mansfield. Couch has got it. Dragged down and a whistle.
Paul Couch 11 kicks and 9 hand passes for the day. The bounce just in the Eagles' attacking zone. Evans can't sneak away with it. He's a worker. Eventually sock it off the ground. In front of Scott. He's going to get caught. A great tackle. Jakovic. Still not out of the woods yet. Stoneham caught. Couch and Lewis go at it. Trevor Poole intercepts. He just cuts clean across. But Lewis keeps going. Worsfold. The skipper leads from the front. A high kick to one centre wing. Only to see the mark taken by Bruns. What a tackle by Dwayne Lamb on Robert Scott. Stoner has been asked for a big quarter. He's got to provide something. They need something up forward. Stoneham kicks towards Brownless. He can't take the mark. McIntosh has been superb. Oh, Kemp has given away the free kick.
Out of bounds deliberately. Oh! In the context of how they've been played before, it's there, but I still don't agree with it.
Brownless has been very well held. He kicked 2, but they were in the first half. 1 in the first quarter and 1 in the second. But this is a very important kick. It's also a magnificent kick.
I finally give.
Geelong bring the ball forward. Bairstow inside the 50. Bairstow touched on the line.
Could have been a free kick to Ablett too earlier on in the contest.
12-15 to 10-11. The next goal could decide the grand final. Kemp. Sounds strange, I know, but momentum now uppermost for both these teams. Bairstow over the top of Matera, gets it out of bounds. The Cats, you sense, are rolling the dice for the last time. They're digging deep, and the West Coast Eagles need to ride out this storm. Jakovic gets in front. It comes behind. Evans from half back towards the wing. Harding, can he control it? Close to the boundary line, the big man. It'll be a throw-in. 87 plays 71. Stoneham and Jakovic. Stoneham looking for Couch. And a free kick to Paul Couch. Pushed in the back. He has it on the wing. Telling kick inside the 50. McKenna. He didn't touch the ball. It goes behind a Pike. Over Brownless's head. McIntosh comes away. Clever kick to the outer side with the outside of the boot. Terrible bounce out there for Waterman. He's battling with Mansfield, and Mansfield beats him. Kicks inside the 50. McKenna and Miles up. Waiting behind his Lamb. He was rather tentative. McKenna did well. Back to McIntosh. They keep their heads, the Eagles. Boots it back towards the outer side, but Barnes is in the road.
Plays on straight away with a left foot kick to half forward. Miles the flyer. Scott waits down. Pumps it high to a vacant forward line. Which way will it bounce? Effectively for Matera. He just tries to make 25, 30 metres. He does it beautifully. Peter Matera, 15 kicks, 3 hand passes today. But perhaps his most impressive statistic is that he has booted 5 goals. Geelong surging, trying desperately to get something going. Hocking almost threw it out to Couch. He wants Bairstow, but runs out of room. It looks as though the Eagles are preparing to make another change. Mitchell White stay on the ground was short-lived. Langdon coming back on. We go back to the action again. Stoneham doing the ruck work with his opponent in Jakovic. Evans, the high kick to centre wing. White's just come onto the ground. Well played to Heady. Snared it beautifully on the half volley. And look at the kick. Great football.
Great skill from Heady too.
Sumic has 3. But Heady, Kemp and Matera, their use of the ball.
Outstanding. This area here that Sumic will kick from early in the game, almost put it out of bounds on the full.
Is this going to be the telling goal that Dennis was talking about? It looks good. And it is.
How does it happen? You're down in a ball, slung, Hocking, not particularly good off the ground. McGrath, Heady, his 25th possession. This is White, who was about to come off just moments ago, and suddenly having an influence on the game, and a relay free kick. Sumic was held on to down the ground, I think, Ross.
Yes, correct. Darcy had hold of him before the ball was even heading towards him at all. And umpire Carey saw that. That's what the free kick's for.
Well, what a kick this is. History in the making. Sumic, 25 metres out, kicks it. And you get the feeling the Eagles may not be caught. He has 5 goals this afternoon.
It's going to need an effort from Geelong like they did in '89 against Hawthorn to come back and try and snatch this game. There is some time there, but I just wonder whether they've got the legs.
Back in the middle once more. 99 plays 71. The Eagles looking good. Kemp could have been free kick. He's going to be. He was held. The Eagles really have had the wood on the Cats. 13 meetings prior to today. It's 10-3 the Eagles' way. Kemp sends them into attack again. Sumic comes out. He's not required. Wilson takes the mark.
There should have been a punch there from Darcy. Tried to mark from behind. Third man in line for that mark. Should have gone bang with a fist.
Peter Wilson kicked an amazing goal in the third quarter.
In fact, he's almost fourth in line. Darcy there should have been a big fist.
So Wilson for his second. Directly in front. He's got it. He's got it. And the Eagles sense they've got the flag.
Yes, it's certainly going to be very difficult for Geelong to get back from here with their tails up. And there's any chance the Eagles let this one slip.
Centre bounce once more. 105 plays 71. The chant of Eagles goes up around the MCG. Ablett tries to fire the Cats up by booting it down to half forward with his fist. Socket back past Matera. Simpson stumped him. To full forward. And a good mark taken by Ken Hickley. He's been one of their shining lights.
Oh, without doubt. He's been moved up there with Miles coming down on the half-back line to pick up Brennan. It's been no fault of his, Ken Hinkley, that Geelong are in the position they are.
From 40 metres, directly in front. Hinkley's drop punter straight through the middle.
The kick to half forward. Wills storms through. Long kick inside the attacking 50 for his club. And Mansfield takes a great mark. Now Mansfield is not a bad kick. He'll kick from right on the 50. Geelong will not give it away. Important kick, this one. Mansfield. Has it got the carry? Yes, it has. Off target and off hands. Behind.
Free kick.
There's in fact something found in that pack. The player's a little confused, but McIntosh will get the free. Seemed to carry the line, but the free kick is paid. McIntosh, who's been very dependable, to the outer side. Harding towards the boundary. Poole keeps it alive. Scott in desperate trouble. Evans to Harding. Around the outer side goes the kick. Mainwaring missed it. Wills has got it, pumps it back in. Djakovic in best position. They came at him from all angles. Mansfield's got it. Wishes he hadn't. And there'll be a bounce about 30 metres out from Geelong's attacking goal. Craig Turley getting ready to come back on. And Geelong defiantly coming back at the Eagles yet again. Ablett couldn't control it. Evans cleverly. McIntosh miscues. Matera misses the mark. Bairstow keeps it in front. Slapped away brilliantly by Matera. Matera tackled front on by Scott and threw the ball. Scott will get the free.
Yes, it's Mainwaring coming off for Turley.
Robert Scott always likes a long run from 52 metres. Won't make the distance, but there'll be plenty of flyers. Ablett off hands. Can't take it. McIntosh does well to get the hand pass out to Evans. The Eagles out of the immediate danger zone. Stoneham and Harding chase towards the boundary line. Throw in to take place. Chris Mainwaring leaving the arena for the moment, replaced by Craig Turley. Stoneham down the throat of Riccardi. A hurried kick. Geelong wanting goals and wanting them rapidly. Couch over the top, trying to get something going for Trevor Poole. Oh, he can't pick it up. Inside he comes towards Brownless, who hasn't had the best of days, but great credit to McIntosh. Ablett flicks it on cleverly. Scott a chance if he can get clear. He can't. Look at the tackling by the Eagles. They've been superb all day. And eventually it's rushed through. Oh, it's a free kick on the last line.
Waterman was held, but he didn't have the football.
What about that tackle by McKenna?
Oh, tackling has been superb. This is Lamb. And he's produced a couple of great tackles today. McGrath has tried his heart out. Stoneham has had trouble getting into the game to a congested half-forward line, and this time Brownless takes them on. Well, he can go straight for home if he wants to. Distance shouldn't be a problem. But he's got to kick it if the Cats are to have any hope in this game. Still over 10 minutes remaining. He's kicking from 55. It's a long drop punt into the square it goes. No one waiting down and rushing it through quite contentedly for one behind is Guy McKenna. 11-12. Those 15-15.
McKenna goes short, but the ball will come back. The goal umpire still waving the flags. Malcolm Blight, what can he do? Well, not very much. Just over 10.5 minutes remaining. It's up to his players now. McKenna goes for distance this time. Harding the target. Stoneham does well. Timely nudge. He's down towards left half forward, Barry Stoneham. Goes for distance. Back towards the kick-off line. Djakovic, towering mark.
So that's a timely mark too.
He's taken more marks than any other Eagle this season. Releases the ball and Lamb. Lamb goes looking for Matera. Got a hand to it, will get the free kick. Advantage is paid. McKenna runs on. He's on the wing. Goes down towards half forward. McGrath again over the top, gets a fist on it. Wilson, full-chested as he always is, runs to the ball. McGrath never giving up. Knocks the ball out of bounds. So a throw in, 15-15 to 11-12 inside the last 10 minutes of the grand final. The West Coast Eagles should win it from here. A scramble and a whistle.
Yes, they're certainly continuing their progression in the past 3 years. Third in 90, second in 91, and now number one in 92, barring some extraordinary comeback. Miles and Brennan. Lewis somehow gets through, but is finally claimed by Hocking, who did well. Gives it to Simpson. Goes out wide. Pike and Riccardi, a couple of speedsters. Sits beautifully for Peter Riccardi. He bounces way across centre wing. Pike won't catch him. To half forward, but straight to Jakovic. Barnes, always quick to recover. Pushes the ball clear. McKenna caught. Bit of aerial ping-pong by Jakovic. He's still going. Eventually gets caught. Ablett. What can he produce? Something special. No, not on this occasion. Out of bounds. Out of bounds on the full. Brett Heddy coming up for kick number 20. What a great day. The back is pulled. Pumps the Cats into the 30-metre area. And a good mark again taken by Hinckley. What a play he's been. Young man from Camperdown in Western Victoria can hold his head high.
Yes, when you think a few years ago, Sandy, he contemplated retiring, having been dropped to the reserves and not finding any form, and Malcolm Blight suggesting he should continue. Look what's happened.
This for his second in the quarter. Oh. Not to be. One behind. 11 at the 13. There's 15-15 with 7.5 remaining in the game.
So the margin, 26 points. Brian McKenna taking his time. The clock, of course, frozen. Now it starts to run, as do the Eagles. Momentarily, White dragged off it. Poole, hurried kick inside the 50, and Mansfield takes the mark. Well, Geelong keep on coming, but they can't kick a goal at the moment. He goes in short. McGrath kept his eye on the ball and keeps it in front. Collides with Waterman. Worsfold boots it out of bounds. Right on the 50. It'll be thrown in. 7 minutes remaining in the grand final. Barnes and Jakovic. Kemp off the ground. Riccardi leads back in the race. In trouble. Evans thumps it towards the boundary. It was out of bounds. And another throw in. There's our scoreline. Barnes flicks it behind. Matera, probably the favourite for the Norm Smith medal at the present time. 5 goals off a wing. A remarkable story as he comes across the ground. Lewis trying for the one-hander will get the free. Matera wants to go, but the ball will come back. Peter Matera, number 30, the 4th man taken in the 89 draft, as we see Chris Lewis. Matera selected behind Bannock, Crofts and Arnold. Think about that. Worsfold has the ball down towards left half forward. 15-15, 11-13. Sumic comes on a lead. He's surrounded by Cats. Stone him up. Takes the mark.
Free kick, Sumic being held. Reversed. And as we've seen the infringement there, Darcy again just no intent on the footy.
Well, no need for that. It was 3-1.
You see it here. Darcy holding on left arm.
Oh dear. So Sumic has kicked 5 so far. His record from this area on the ground is about 50% today. And that splits the difference. Minor score, 15-16 to 11-13.
There's the Geelong camp.
Looking rather disconsolate, as you'd expect.
And our official crowd today, 95,007. Miles brings it in. Lewis hammers it forward. Straight to Riccardi. He's beautifully tackled by Pike. They're still going, the Eagles. Look at Evans at the bottom of the pack. Tries to go back to Pike. Riccardi with him. Intercepting is Mitchell White. Around his body. Back in towards full forward he goes. Wills is there right at the back. And it's over the line for one behind. 15-17 plays 11-13. Michael Malthouse. A stint at Footscray without grand final success. And now it looks as though it's come his way here with the West Coast Eagles. Hocking gives it to Poole. A high kick down towards the half-forward line. Bad bounce for McKenna. There, Ken Hinkley see it over the line.
There's Poole going for a long torpedo, just miscued badly. Had Bairstow running inside him. He looked at him but elected to kick. Option may have been to handball.
Barnes and Djakovic again. I think it might be a hot old time in Perth tonight. Evans to centre wing. McGrath. Well, you take he and Hinkley out of the Geelong side, and there'd be a mighty hole. Riccardi.
He played on.
Did play on. A sneaky little hand pass, and it's come unstuck. So it opens the door for Pike and the Eagles. Up towards half forward. Darcy this time defends to the boundary line, and another throw-in. Tim Darcy coming back into the lineup after Handley was admitted a couple of weeks ago.
Poole coming off for Geelong. Replacing with Merriman.
Eagle supporters and fans realising now they've got the flag as Sumich takes the mark just 20 metres out. Peter Sumich has booted 5.
He's taken his season tally up to 81. And with that one behind kick before, 81-46.
There's no need to say that he does prefer this area. Well, he uses that helicopter kick and it works. They've got it. The Eagles have got it.
Philly, obviously, the players happy, but Sumich, the right option there, just gave himself room, bent it around. There certainly will be some busy places in Perth.
Back in the middle. Hawking has the run of the ball. It will be a day etched in football history. The national competition has come of age as Heady boots it inside the 50. Darcy comes up, meets the ball, plays on immediately across to Simpson. There were some dark times early in this game for the Eagles. Here's Bairstow, but they were simply too legit to quit. The ball goes towards the boundary line. It'll be thrown in. Sounds like a rap song. 16-17 to 11-13.
You see Michael Malthouse still making moves. Robert Wiley and Trevor Nisbet having a bit of a disagreement on the boundary line there. Djakovic coming down onto the forward line. Brennan going to the back line.
Barnes up in front. Ablett sold Bairstow into trouble. He was taken high surely. Merriman told to play on. The free kick was paid. Brownless is the target. It runs free behind. Back goes Riccardi close to the boundary line. He can't keep it in. It'll be thrown in.
So inside 2 minutes now. Every picture tells a story.
Paul Harding's just gone down to a forward pocket, and he's got a bit of a hamstring twinge in his left leg. Langdon preparing to come back on.
Ablett off the ball, getting a free.
So he'll have a shot just 40 metres out.
Yes, and Paul Harding will come off, replaced by Langdon.
Ablett has booted 2. 71 for the year. Now he's booted 3 and 72. 12-13-85. West Coast 16-17, 113.
Listen, Gary Ablett, as we see Harding coming off, just unable to really have a great influence on the game. He's been by no means the worst player at Geelong, but Worsfold's been a fair contributor in the one-on-one duels, just botting him out of the place and making it so very difficult for Ablett to really have a great influence on the game.
Back in the middle once more. Just over a minute remaining. Stoneham takes the tap. With the left foot up towards the half-forward line he goes. Brownless and McIntosh. McIntosh has been superb today in defence. It's over the line. Eagles players and supporters right around the country preparing to celebrate a history-making day. The Eagles breaking the ice in the AFL and doing it in style. Evans to the boundary line. Inside a minute now. Young man Hines knows what finals is all about. He played in 3 for Port Adelaide.
David Hart and Matt Clappe also there.
Barnes flicking it in towards half forward, but Lamb is there to tidy up. Off to his skipper, John Worsfold. The chant of the Eagles in the background. Couch leads it. It's socket off the ground towards centre wing and Brett Heady. Away from Merriman. Ablett is there to apply pressure as well. Heady still going. Farms it wider to Kemp. Dean Kemp having his 20th kick, but only as far as Simpson. Simpson back to centre wing. Pike and Worsfold again combined. Into the middle. It's a game of possession now with only seconds remaining. Evans may have